Philadelphia's playing.
I'm sorry, that's right, too. I got that wrong.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're calling the meeting to order. September 6th, 6:30. Roll call.
Donna Bronk, present.
Malcolm White, present.
Peter Dunlop, present.
And Jim Gibberti, present. We have minutes.
That wouldn't go over the minutes.
That's not the minutes. That's the minutes. That's not the minutes.
I don't think we have minutes.
We don't have
We
it.
don't
I was
have
saying
minutes.
this, because usually they would be in there.
Yeah, they'd be right in the top.
Jim, I'd like to take a second on minutes. One of the problems that we
Oh, no, here
did,
it is, right here.
Is
Oh,
there
we don't
minutes?
have a minute. No, there's no minutes, no, I'm sorry.
last time we did meeting in here, the tape was almost impossible to hear. So whoever's taking notes is gonna be very, very good, because when we do the transcription, we can't hear. There's no mics, it's general, so we can't hear conversations. So we've gotta, minutes have gotta be specific. So if Sandy is gonna take notes, she's gotta be very good at it. So we're gonna use her notes to transcribe.
Do you want to delay that?
So however you do it doesn't matter, but that's just, I just want to point that out.
We'll move on, yes.
Deal with it next meeting.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Okay. No minutes postponed. Okay, we've got these agreements back in here. First, we'll start with ServPro. This is a contract that started, we're getting it now, it's the, commences on the 31st of July, so we're a month, over a month late in receiving this. And ServPro is for,
Didn't we want to know what we paid last year versus this year?
No, the question was, what are we cleaning up with clean water?
Oh, that's what the question is.
That's right, okay.
We're not cleaning anything. The ServPro is a contract we have in place. If we have a backup in a residence home, we send ServPro in to sanitize it, clean it, and move on. You gotta, when we had this first come in front of us last year, we had an email from Mr. Bowen who suggested that we move forward with this contract, because it's a libelous issue. If I blow up your cellar and I back up all the sewage in your cellar,
okay, in other words,
Yeah.
bottom line, this is an insurance policy.
it is only used in the event you have backup. If there's no backups, it doesn't get used.
Well, right, but Sandy's question was, category 1 is clean water. With,
That was her question.
Yeah.
It's probably, I'll look at it, let me get it, it's probably all their itemized categories. So if we were to use clean water,
Boilerplate?
you know what I mean? Yes, it's just all the
well,
categories.
they broke it down into 3, clean water, gray water, and black water.
Okay, so we would be black water, gray water, and maybe clean water is if it's not, if it's out of the sewer, but it's clear with no solids, but it's all relates to sewer. So I don't have an answer for what is clear water. It's not drinking water, it's not potable water, it would be some type of sanitary water, clear water, which would be water that has no chunks in it, no toilet paper, nothing like that. So that's probably a different rate because it's less to clean up. The sanitization will always be the same, but the actual cleanup may be different.
Okay, do we have, I may be missing it, do we have a cost associated with this particular contract, or is it on?
We spend nothing.
As needed.
The most we spent is about $2,000 to date.
So what I'm asking about is, there's no cost to maintain this contract. It's only when we use it. Okay. So basically, it's an insurance policy in case of emergency.
If we have a backup, we gotta clean it, that's all it is.
Do I have a motion on this?
No, I only have one question.
Yes, sir.
Because it's an emergency, you must be paying a premium for the dumpsters, because that's a little bit high.
If the dumpsters, if we need a dumpster, yes, absolutely, because
Just
it's
want
an
to put that
emergency.
out there, because that's higher than normal.
It's an emergency
Not a lot.
situation. This
Couple
is,
hundred,
Yeah,
okay, just so you know,
Yeah,
you're
it's-
paying a premium.
oh, yeah, you
I have
definitely
no
are.
issue with it.
I just had a dumpster at my house, I paid $698 for the dumpster.
Yeah,
I only had a dumpster, I brought some stuff.
yeah, we're paying $650
But for
now.
20
10
liter?
acre.
No, for 40
For 40, okay.
I shopped around, I got the best deal. But
Yeah,
it
we're
was-
paying
600.
$6.50 for 30 cents.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I paid I think it's a 30, I thought it was a 40, but whatever. So that's, but in emergency, you gotta motivate, people gotta come down, and so I'm not. I
Just
don't
wanted
have-
to clarify that.
We don't have a dumpster?
No, we don't have a dumpster for cleaning out, because a lot of these debris has to go to a landfill or whatever. We don't have a dumpster. We're not bringing it to our yard and dumping it around the tiny dumpster. This is their job, they get it out, whatever
and
it
we
is.
can't move it around from job to job.
We just let them do their thing.
Yeah,
This is-
that
this is-
makes no sense.
Again, we're talking about the sanitization of somebody's home that's been over with sewer.
It's gotta be done right away.
It's just gotta be done.
I make a motion that we accept the Servpro contract as provided and with the information that Guy Campina provided us.
Yeah, I agree, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next we have is, okay, this was where we got to discuss this grant agreement. For Water Warriors, basically is what this is.
Because it had changed, the numbers had changed for the grant, and then,
I couldn't really read that breakout. That, nor can I read it on this one.
I think we discussed this, Mr. Chairman, and so what it comes down to is it was $150,000 that the grant was. We cut out half the program, reduced it to 83. So that means that $67,000 has to be accounted for. And what we did is that we picked up the cost of $28,000, and Water Warriors picked up the cost of $33,000 to make up the
Okay,
$67,000.
I knew
That's how we-
something, I just
okay,
didn't know
Water
what these
Warriors
numbers were.
paid
Picked
what?
up $33,000, we picked up $28,000.
Okay, so that would bring us up to the, okay.
So that's the difference in what we,
But I knew we had discussed this, I couldn't remember where our breakout was and where they got in and where we got in.
that's how the numbers work. So
Okay. Well, I make a motion that we accept,
Oh, wait.
no, I'm sorry,
So what's the bottom line that is costing us?
$237,000. Originally it was $166,000.
Where is that?
$237,000.
originally it was
Where
166.
do I see that?
Okay. This is the actual budget. It's right there.
Where's it coming out of?
Capital?
Capital, okay.
Why don't we have that?
I don't know. This is the actual contract that I have to submit. We submitted to CEC.
I apologize.
Problem. Sandy arrived at 6:38. This was,
So what was that number again, Guy, that is actually costing us?
237,346.
237 and what, 430,
346.
346.
Yes.
Why did I think you said, oh,
I don't know.
446?
Sometimes I.
237,
What?
wait a minute. Back this up again,
Yep.
just a second, guy. The Water Warriors will be paying how much
$33,000.
altogether?
Yeah,
Well, so it's in-kind services. So altogether, the in-kind service is $461,105 of the $7,000 for the project. We're paying $237, and the grant is paying $83.
83 for the grant, okay. there we go.
Salute first.
Motion on this grant agreement.
So the grant is for 82. The total cost of the thing is 696.
The total cost is $781,000.
What are these numbers then? None of these jive.
Yeah,
I don't know what you have for numbers. Let me look at the mic that she gave you. I have no idea. I have the contract, that's all, that's what I
Here's
have.
what we have.
778, 851?
Well, that's the worksheet.
That's the only thing with numbers we got.
Yes, there you go. That's what you got is the worksheet. See the worksheet? So the worksheet, if you break down the worksheet, these numbers change because the 129 is no longer CEC. So she gave you the worksheet. Let me give you a copy of the worksheet. Because you got an original grant and all the numbers change when they decrease the amount.
So why don't we have the new numbers?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
She probably just reissued what she gave you. Here's my list, yes, I counted.
Does this have to be voted on today? I mean, is there,
Well, they keep, the CEC, nothing has to be, the CEC keeps asking me when we're gonna get it, because they're getting ready to make a grand announcement. We're gonna pull, I need to pull now. So there is an urgency, it's been an urgency for 6 weeks. It's a grant program, and so that's just the nature of the beast.
I just hate making a decision with, you don't have all the numbers here. Makes me
No, I
nervous.
get it.
Makes me very
I get
nervous.
it, I've been listening to confirmation letters, saying things,
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it.
Okay, we'll postpone this when they get the,
I'll have her send you the actual.
Yeah, I'd like to table that.
okay,
No problem.
I make a
have no
motion to
issues.
table this one.
yep.
Second.
You have a copy of the worksheet that you have,
Okay.
because it breaks it down to the. Which is simply the cost, 781, 698 is our share, 83 for the grant. The 690 is separate, is shared between us and.
So we're tabling it until the final numbers are available.
Right.
So we can see the final numbers.
Here's the numbers, there they are right there.
Yep.
But we'll give it to you.
Yeah,
And
please.
you can read the 3 numbers that are there. And if you look at your original paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
just, you'll have the other numbers and you can just back them down.
Because we can't leave
Okay.
off of what we've got here.
That's fine, that's not a problem. I'll do that.
Okay, that's a table.
Can we vote on it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, where's the, call CEC. I'll find out when they make an announcement. I don't know what's,
Nope.
we really may not do it.
Multi-state electric. It's a renewal on call, commercial electrician services for preventive maintenance and emergency calls.
Is this the same people we've had?
Yes, what else we're doing is at the same cost, just renewing it for another year.
I guess we wanted to know how often and who sends the report. How
Yeah.
often, yeah, that's,
My note was, if there is who gets, how often do we get a report and who gets the report? Because those are my questions on the contract. They mentioned
That
it, but
was-
I don't know.
Was it on this contract or on the?
This was on the Surf Pro.
Well, the
no,
Servpro, we
Serpro's
passed
already
that.
passed.
Oh.
We're into the multi-state
The Surf Pro,
electrical.
Yeah.
were my questions answered? On the Surf Pro?
Run them by again, I.
Yeah, give
got
me
what
a
you
question,
just
and
asked.
I'm just,
How often are reports issued and who gets the reports on what type of calls they get?
That's a different
That-
contract.
So
This is
that's not
Serv-
Serpro. No,
Serv-
that's not Serpro.
That's not Serpro.
Emergency response.
No,
That's
this
not
is,
Serpro.
this is,
emergency response.
Yeah, and it
Serv-
says about,
The one that you're asking the questions on is the odor hotline.
no, that's a different one.
Okay, ServPro is a contract in the event of me backing up your basement, you call them to clean it. It's only a contract utilized in the event of an actual event. There's no cost for the contract, and so if you call me and I go to your basement, I vac out all the sewer out of your basement, ServPro comes in to do all the cleaning, it may be replacing carpet, maybe wall, whatever the damages we cause, they make it right to you, and that bill is submitted to the sewer department, we pay the bills, and the report will come to us in the bills. When you sign for the bills, you'll see all the report in the bills. So it's a contract only used in the event of a backup into someone's home. And that's what Serpro does. And so that's, I think that's, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it said something about a report. I wouldn't have,
No,
No
the
idea.
only one we were looking for in a
One for-
report that I wrote down, Sandy, was that we were looking for, is there a report generated on
Calls.
emergency calls and that, who gets it? That's exactly where I had.
That's the odor control. hotline.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
yeah, but the audit
Exactly.
control hotline didn't come in until this week.
No,
We didn't have it 2
We
weeks
had
ago.
last week.
We had it last week.
I don't see the order hotline on this one, so it's probably.
No, it's not on here.
So it's probably been done. And it was, I think she sent out the contract to the company. And so the order hotline, to answer your question, is that the calls go into the order line hotline company. They send us an email of their complaint and the answers from the complaintee. And we go out and investigate it, and then the answer is a section for our investigation. So you call the order hotline, my name is, and so they have a series of questions. Yes, what is your name,
Yeah,
sir?
it shows,
What address do you live
Yeah.
at?
the decision tree was in the document, yeah.
Mhm. And so that's what they ask, they answer it, then there's an email that comes out to us and a phone call. We take that phone call, we respond to it, the complainant has a right to say come out or not come out, it's up to them. If they say come out, we go out, and we sit and talk with them, we do our evaluation and follow it up that way. This year, we've had none. We've had emails, but by one individual refuses to use the order hotline, but that's the only one we've had. So, and the concept is that if you're gonna make a valid complaint, if someone had something valid, you go through the process. If you don't wanna give your name, or you're gonna then I have to question if it's a valid complaint. So we're saying, we'll answer all valid complaints, we'll address all valid complaints, and we'll respond to all valid complaints. So you give us your name, your number, your address, and we'll come out and we'll discuss it. And so that's the protocol. That was approved by DEP.
I'm just, there is no reporting by Serpro as to how many emergency surgery services they respond to. So we have no idea where they've been and,
We only use them in the backup. We had no backups this year, we didn't use them, no
No,
backups
I mean-
last year.
We have to
so who
initiate,
supports, what's,
we initiate the call to them to come out.
so that is what determines the charge that we will get, and there's no recording of how many times we call them, so when we get a bill, we have no backup as to what they respond
Each
to.
response is billed. The bill is itemized.
Who authorizes the response? You?
We do, because absolutely.
So you,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
facility, okay.
I have no choice, it's an emergency.
So-
You just call
And
me and
then,
say,
and you call, you let the sewer commissioners know that that's happening.
any type of emergency,
I don't know
usually,
why we,
I'm just saying, why would we, I mean, that's a day-to-day
they
business.
business. We do it every day, when it's a problem, we do the problem.
Yeah,
You'll
you
get
take
the
care of a
bill,
problem.
he asks a question, when we get the bill, they can discuss any question about
Okay.
the bill we want, we go from there. But I'm gonna make a decision. I don't have time to debate it, I've got someone in trouble, we make a decision.
FYI, that we have a
Okay.
problem.
Yeah,
You know, the sewer's leaking into the
I
river
do
and
a, yeah, I do a general email
Yeah.
blast. I do
Okay,
Derek
so there is-
Sullivan, I do the sewer commissioners
Okay, so
when
there
there's an
is
issue.
some notice if there is an
Absolutely,
issue, okay.
absolutely, because you need to know what's going on, because I'm getting ready to spend a ton of money. I'm
Yep.
getting ready to deal with a disaster or something close to it, so everybody's involved. And as I make these decisions, here's the decisions that we're doing, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes I send pictures, depending on what it is. Absolutely.
Okay. Next item is the multi-state electric.
This is a new contract. This
Yeah,
wasn't
it's-
with us last week.
It's an old one. don't
No, I
which
know,
one-
it wasn't in the package last week.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know, I wasn't there last week, but yes, it's a contract from last year
Because I have, look,
that we renewed.
it was in here.
Correct. No one.
It's, we just haven't seen it, you know?
Haven't seen it.
It came in an email, but we had not
Discussed it. all right?
discussed it.
This is the first time I've looked at it.
It's identical to last year's. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed?
I don't have a problem with his rate, so.
It's
Other than that, you can't define it, it's on call, right?
It's on call.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
What did we spend on them last year?
Probably about 18,000 total. And he's also helping us do all that list of $500,000 identified as electrical issues in all these pump stations. So we spent about 18,000. It's
In the back,
not, certainly not a lot of
Oh,
money.
okay.
A little more for travel, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Off hour.
Oh, that's cheap, $80 an hour?
Licensed
Very good.
electrician.
That's really cheap.
Very good rates.
Okay.
So this costs us nothing unless we call them.
Correct.
Can I ask a question on it? Under Article 1, scope of work for in the specifications for, is there anything that says what the specifications are for this contract?
There are none. There's any type of electrical work that requires a licensed electrician.
Okay, so it is just
As needed.
as
Some-
needed,
Some things I
okay.
cannot do. and I have to
Day-to-day
do.
business, again.
And then I have to have a licensed electrician.
Yep.
The union would skin me alive if I did.
I make a motion that
So
we accept this.
basically, this is another insurance policy
Yes.
effective on.
No, no, but yeah. And I make a motion that we accept this, the contract, policy, the preventive maintenance emergency calls for multi-state electric.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 500.
Mr. Chairman, I know that Commissioner Sladen wasn't here. I wanted to mention to her again, while she's here, on this room, the acoustics, when we do the tape, it's very, you kind of hear it. So your notes are going to be what we transcribe. Just want to say.
I've got some stuff for you.
Do you want to do the abatement before we have the superintendent's report?
Is this?
I'm sorry, Peter, I didn't hear you.
Is there a David?
This isn't a sewer abatement, this is just a notification to them.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mr. Carter.
I'm not so sure. I don't see anything on the agenda. Is there a
It's not
letter?
on the agenda, but it's a paper
Here.
in our packet, so.
It was in our packet.
I don't know why it's in the packet. This is, after you approved last week, we sent a letter out, and that's all this is.
That's what I
Oh,
thought.
okay, so just,
So
So we
it's
don't
take
need
it.
FYI.
okay.
After you approve an abatement, we send a letter to the individual that
Yeah.
abatement's
That's
been
what I
approved.
thought. That's what I
It
thought.
verifies the amount, and then if the account's gonna go on hold, we tell them that. If it's not, we tell them that, so they know we got
Okay.
this position. I don't know why you got that in your packet. It's just- Rebecca's leaving.
Yeah, that's what I
October
heard.
1st, she's gone. Next week, she'll be in South Carolina looking for a home. Her house sold in days. So she's gone. And so we got Anita training, and Anita is trying to grasp this, so she's putting these she put the packet together. But Rebecca's in and out, and so.
I can go in and really bust the meter tomorrow. I can go in and really bust the meter tomorrow.
Yeah, because Anita's, she's frazzled. She's frazzled. So when you bust her, be careful. She is frazzled, and there's so much to do
Yeah.
that she doesn't know where to begin, and so she's responsible for all this stuff.
No
So
problem.
that's probably why some things may or may not be included, so I'm trying to.
No problem.
Work
Okay,
with
as
her.
long as we know what the situation is, we can deal with it.
Mhm.
Okay, superintendent's report, please.
I think most of the stuff we'll answer, because you had a lot of questions on motion, I'm sorry, on articles, we'll address those in a minute. For me, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to mention, we had discussed the cost of the repairing those manholes in Cohasset. The IMA has a statement in there that says to the effect that if the damage is caused by Vaughan, then they're 100% responsible. I will bring that out for you. It was pointed out to me by our accountant, Mr. Abrahams, who's working with Derek in the town of Vaughan to vet through some of this auditing that's been going on between Vaughan and Wareham. So we're going to bring that forward. So because the dam is not only to the first one, but the other 5 that had the high H2S, I would suggest that we build one for the entire project minus Hamilton Beach, because the IMA allows it. So that'd be my suggestion in the research that I got from Matt Abrahams. I'll get all that documentation submitted to the board so you can review it, and then have some actual IMA facts, and you can make your decision better. Okay, that's where I'm going with this.
That would help us dramatically.
When will we get the cost of each manhole?
We're just about done, so I'll have them break that out for you. And once I get the cost, all but Hamilton Beach, I believe, should be paid for by Vaughan. Vaughan was there, they're aware of it, they saw it,
How does Hamilton Beach fit into this?
I can't get, because Hamilton was one of the other ones we did, but I can't add it to them.
It was part of the contract?
Part of the contract.
That was a,
Yeah.
under,
Yeah,
okay.
part of the contract.
Because we have one in Hamilton Beach that's leaking like a sieve,
Yeah, I
so
knew
we want
that.
to get that one fixed too, because
Right.
it's tremendous inflow.
So he's
So the other four are gonna be, hopefully we can
Bill,
build them on.
according to the, and we're going, because the audit, our auditor and their auditor, we have Abrams Group,
Yeah.
which is really highly recommended of the Department of Revenue. They have CLA.
Yep,
And so they've been going back and forth over the language of the IMA, and they believe they shouldn't pay for this, shouldn't pay for that, and so our audit's saying, well, that's this, that's that. So in this process, as we're dissecting the IMA, I had talked to Matt about this issue with the Cohasset and Bourne's responsibility. Is it an 18%, can I charge him? And there's a provision, I think he said something sub 7.2, he said there's a provision that states if they were direct contributed to the damage, then they're responsible for 100%. And so we believe this will fit into that category. So I'll get you the language, we'll get everything we'll
And how
get.
do we prove that they were?
Because their manhole is the discharge manhole. Nothing else goes in that manhole but them. We have a meter. Our pre-treatment coordinator, before she left, she put a meter in there, which is a monitoring, which monitors H2S. And we've seen H2S as high as 400 parts per million and greater. At those rates, not only will it kill people, it'll kill concrete, kill metal. So we have enough solid evidence to prove that they're the contributor to those manholes.
As long as we got backup, it's
And then in
justifiable.
the engineering world, the consensus is if you do the one that's destroyed, you must do the next 5, because they have degrees of damage caused by that original. And we can see that all our inverts were gone, all the concrete was busted up, the brick was, we did them all. So I believe that they should be responsible for the entire, and so I'd like to build more for the entire. I know that its timing is not good because there's a controversy going on. They think we're overbilling, it's been political, there's all kinds of things being said, but I think the facts are the facts. And I think
I
we should,
can't
we should,
believe that anything that we do would become political.
you know, it's.
and the facts are, they haven't been charged as they should have been over the last, I don't know how many years. So I think we need to, you know, step and force everything now.
I'm trying to get away from
This is
politics.
different than what we approved on August 2nd?
I think on August 2nd, you were stating that they'd get 1% of the others. I think that's what you recommended. I don't
Yep.
think we made any actual hard fast because we didn't have the numbers from the actual cost. But what I'm saying to you, in light of this new revelation as far as the IMA, and this provision to charge of everything, I think we need to exercise that. That's all I'm saying. So I'll make sure that you get a copy of that, and you should, it's in your IMA, and I can get you the section. So in your booklet, you have the IMA, I'll get you the actual,
Okay.
where he's cited, and you can read it for yourselves, and you tell me what you're interpreting. But our CPA interprets it to be on board, but I'll make sure that that's the case. So that's where I'm going with that. Toby Road was jet ride again today, we're trying to get all the grease off, it's been horrendous. My concern with Toby Road and that whole line is we've got a malt factory coming in, I have yet to see their impact study. I've been
I
there.
thought they
They're
were
in.
gonna be sending this.
If they're in, I haven't signed off because
They're in?
we have no impact study.
According to the newspaper, they're open.
Yeah.
They're not, they have no permission to discharge without an impact study. I haven't seen anything. And so if there's no impact study, my concern is that they've got a 5,000 gallon tank, they discharge it one shot, they overwhelm that pump station. I've had pump running like crazy, and it's gonna overwhelm, it's gonna flood. And so they've been told, I talked to Mr. Sullivan, he called me on a Saturday, they've been told that they need an impact study. That is part of their condition to tie in to expand that business. I have signed off on no oxygen permit, this board and this, we have not signed off. So if they're in, they've certainly done it without the proper documentation, the proper procedure to get in. So well, I'll have to go by there and address, I was by there yesterday, I saw no action, no activity. I've seen a couple people working, but I've seen no activity, I'll go by there again. If they're active, then they need to stop.
And what are you missing?
An impact report. They have seep tanks.
I mean, it's up to them to do the impact report.
Absolutely. They agreed to do it because originally when I had a conversation, they called Mr. Sullivan.
Don't they have another operation somewhere else? No, I
No.
sent you, I gave you
No,
that
this is a
thing on
first.
that.
I called that operation and I questioned their procedure because they said they were doing 2 dumps. He said to me they were actually going to do 3 dumps. That's the real deal. That's how you do the product. He said unless they're going to put out a shoddy product. So we don't even have that. We don't even have the actual impact. And so they're dumping water to us at one shot.
What did did you contact that company that I gave you?
Yes, in New York.
And what did they say?
They said that it's the exact same system they're using. They bought it from the same distributor.
Okay.
And they said to me that there's no 2 dumps, there's 3 dumps, and the BOD is out of sight. and that the dumps is gonna run into my wet well, which is 3,000 gallons, they're gonna give me 5,000 gallons. There's just no way the numbers make any sense.
How do they treat it or handle it there?
They go directly to a municipality, and it's, what happens, they're in an industrial mall, and the industrial mall has one pump station, it all goes there, so the when I call the treatment plant, they have no way of monitoring it, because it goes into a big system, and then
Gets diluted.
it's diluted and everybody else contributes, so they have no way of isolating it. This can be isolated because they're responsible. Matter of fact, before they stopped, we said that we'd have to put a flow meter and we'd have to put a sampler so we can establish BODs, because they're gonna be built on BODs, and we have to know what the flow is, because the BOD is based upon flow to get their bill, and they've agreed to this, and so they can't stop without any of this happening.
So how did they get the okay to move in, and
I
have
don't
they
know.
gotten an okay to start?
I don't know, we've got foundations on Onset Ave that no one's gonna get permission to do. Things happen, and we've got, I'll go by there, and I'll make sure that they get the proper procedure, because people just go ahead and do. Somebody may say it's fine, I don't know, and I
mean, those three
I'm not gonna
foundations.
speculate, but that's two foundations on Onset Ave, no permits to put them up. And a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, they're gonna run their sewer
I saw those
behind,
two.
they're gonna run their sewer behind LaCasse to the sewer, and they have no permission to tie in.
You mean those homes on the hill,
The
where the
two-
church used to be?
No, on Onset Avenue, that's all legal. On Onset Avenue by the Cass Station,
Yeah,
Cass's gas station.
yeah,
If you go
Oh,
down
part
first-
of the, yeah.
So Bay Point sold them 5 lots.
yeah.
And
They
they
built
got-
on 2.
Two of the foundations are in.
The building department went there and told me they need permits and tried to stop me. They said, we're gonna put the foundation in anyways, because I got good money, I got a good deal on the contract or whatever, so they put them in anyways. But they're not building because they have no permits to build. What bothers me
They
is.
need a permit
To do the foundation.
Do anything.
to- You can
That's-
break it out.
Yeah.
But you need
I have
a
no idea.
foundation permit.
To put the foundation, which
Yeah.
they've never done. I talked to Bay Point, we've been working close with them because of our issue on coming down Point Independence Yacht Club, that
Right.
manhole sinking. I talked to him about that, and we talked about those lots. And he shook his head and says, yeah, I don't even want to get into this, I don't want to get into it. So I said, and so the board's aware, I want to make the board aware that they have not come to this board for permission to tie into the system. Those houses have no permission, so they're online to build them and tie into the sewer without permission. So I've got to keep an eye on that, because that cannot be allowed.
Well, what about
without
the
proper
building
procedure.
inspector? What's he doing? If he's letting foundations go up, is he doing something about it?
I guess he stopped them now. He didn't, for some reason, they just did it. He got involved and he stopped them, because if you don't see somebody do something, then the consensus, you do it until you get caught, or you do it until you ask forgiveness, or whatever.
It's only illegal if you get caught, remember
Yes.
that statement.
So
They
that's
gotta
probably
cease
people.
and desist.
That's what
I
they,
believe
exactly.
the building department stopped them as they are in their tracks, and they get the proper procedure. That's how I understand it. I haven't talked to Dave personally, but that's how I understand it. So what I'm telling you is
He thought they
hearsay.
were
I have
gonna
no actual, I didn't talk to Dave face to face, so I can't speak for him.
George.
That's what I'm told, because I'm involved because there's sewer. They're gonna tie to the sewer because there's no provision for septic. They have no permission to tie into sewer.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
anyways, that's.
And where do they go to tie in? The line on Onset Ave?
They're gonna somehow, on its, you see, it's a 10th green, along between the 10th green and Onset Avenue, up behind LaCasse Service Station, I forget the name of that street, Long or whatever, that goes to the back roads to the, it actually ties into Calhoun Street.
Yes.
So right there is, they're gonna tie in there, because we have a manhole, that's, the system ends there, that's what they're
What
tying
a
into.
long way to go.
Is
that Mark's?
No.
So that's what they're planning on doing.
So this will be in conjunction with all the homes that will be tied in from the development at Bay Point?
This is separate, because
Oh.
Bay Point sold these 5 lots, so this is a separate development.
But it
with those two.
won't those be connected to the same manhole behind LaCasse?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's all going
Yes,
into,
ma'am.
okay.
It's all going in down at Point Independent, which we have nothing but issues there and across. Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Ouch.
So I gotta, and I talked to Dave religiously, said, Dave, we need to communicate. You know, the left hand has to know what the right hand's doing. We're all in this together. It's a group effort, you know, we all win and lose together. And so when he's approving stuff, he needs to consult me. When I'm approving stuff, I'll consult him, just so we're on the same page, because if we do that more diligently, less things will get missed. That's all it is. People are people, you know as well as I do, people will do whatever they can to circumvent
Well,
costs and what have you.
I suggest that when you speak to Dave, is that the building inspector, Dave?
He's the building commissioner. I believe,
Commissioner,
is
I'm
telling
sorry.
us.
I suggest that we cover our rear ends and put it in writing, via email or whatever, because I don't want this to come back and bite us in the butt. We didn't do our job.
We didn't give them any permission, so our job is to provide permission. I gotta make sure that they're told, because the Board of
In
Health is
wri-
not
in-
involved because
in
they're no
writing.
septic. Yes,
So-
they do it in
You're
writing.
right.
You will be on the sign-off for an issuance of a permit to build.
Well, that's the
Are we?
policy. However, if this company's running without a sign-off, it happens all the time. People run. I have no way of saying you should or shouldn't be because I'm not in the loop. I found out after the fact. I can tell you businesses and apartments and condos that I found way after the fact
But
that
if
weren't paying sewer.
things were done correctly, there is a space
For
in
me
the
to sign.
building permit for sewer, just
Absolutely.
like conservation.
Absolutely.
So it is. So
It's
it's
there.
one of those things, why why isn't
Exactly.
it being followed? I mean, it's one of those things that,
So before the building department issues anything, they need to make sure every line is signed, every I is
Yeah.
dotted. If it's not, say, I can't do this,
They
take this
always
to
do.
sewer.
The guy just went and did it. I
I'm
guarantee
sure,
it. I
I'm sure.
guarantee you they didn't know.
Because
So anyways,
George wouldn't allow that.
George
No,
wouldn't
he
allow
wouldn't
it,
allow it.
and Dave wouldn't allow it.
I guarantee you they didn't know.
Because I know I had to have signed off, I've gotten several building permits to build in town here, and I've had to have a sign off from the Board of Health or the sewer. If it was a septic system, you know, the Board of Health.
It's really their problem right now.
It's their
We're
problem.
not doing anything.
Long as they don't sneak in the sewer, and I'll go by there and make sure it doesn't happen, we're good.
there'll be a
That
lot
would be a
of
huge
digging.
lawsuit.
Well,
If there's digging, I'll stop and see what you're digging.
in the case of this brewery,
Yes.
did they
I've seen nothing.
occupy an old building that already has sewer
Always
connections?
that's, but they revised the entire, they changed everything.
Okay, but.
It's all
you know,
permitted,
So,
and they need a permit because it's a change of use. When you do change of use, you need to do an Oxby permit, you need to do all the sign-offs. So they can't change the use without sign-offs.
well,
So
paperwork is one thing,
they don't have a
a
CO.
valve is another.
No, they do not have, because I have to sign off that they're changing the use of that building, that they met all the requirements to do that. I haven't seen anything.
I've never
So in
heard-
my opinion, they're not
It's like the
operating.
Wild West. Heaven forbid if I ever did that.
Hey, listen,
So
Interesting.
I'm running on the assumption that they're not open.
nobody works.
That's all I'm running. They're not open.
Just going by what the newspaper said that came out
Sunday,
today.
it's
No.
just a holiday, you got the 4 days, you can get whatever you want
I was
done
reading the
in
article
town now.
today in
wanna
the
do that
newspaper,
stuff,
and they
yes,
said,
those
yeah,
are
they're
the
on a
days
road
to
trip
do it.
over there.
Exactly, and it's
Because we
being
got a
done.
pub room and,
And that is well
you
known.
know, they had a soft
Oh,
opening.
sure it is, I mean.
That's all beyond me, because I haven't been
That's
involved in
figured
any of
that
that.
out.
You
And
didn't
they
get
knew
invited
it.
to the soft opening?
No, I didn't.
Obviously, you're just not on the right list.
And we knew there's some production issues, there's some valving issues, there's
We
some,
talked about
there's
this
no,
before.
yes, we did, and we said they wouldn't allow without the impact study.
Yeah,
It had to be
the last,
completed.
the last discussion we had on this, the impact study was the first and foremost that had to be completed, that you were gonna be
Yeah, I
receiving
remember
from
that.
us,
Absolutely.
because you said that they were
He never
gonna
got
be
anything.
getting
He
it
put
right.
it
I have
right
that.
on his engineer.
It's in, so I have nothing. And matter of fact, after Mr. Sullivan called me on Saturday, I met with him, he says, absolutely, we're gonna do it, I'll do it. So everybody's agreed to, but I've seen nothing.
Yeah.
I've seen nothing. So if they're open, I don't know how. And I have to be concerned because the pumps can't handle what they're gonna give us.
What'll happen?
It'll overflow. Out of the pump station,
Where
down the
will, where
road,
will it overflow?
in the street. It'll
Not
overflow.
back into their building?
No, because it's,
Does
they're-
it all go down the bottom and get pumped up?
no, it goes out of their building across the street to Kendrick Pump Station. Kendrick Pump Station pumps up to Thatcher. That wet well at Kendrick is less than 3,000, effective, probably 1,500 gallons. And so they'll overwhelm that, the pumps will not keep up, it'll come out of that wet well, out of the manhole and flood the street. So we'll have sewer everywhere. And that's gonna be sewer from them and from everybody else. You know, and then, because it's gonna be flooded, it's gonna back up into the crouton factory, the donut factory, into the trailer park, all that'll be affected drastically. So it's no joke, it's nothing to be taken lightly.
So Service probably working their butt off.
They're working full-time, which we'll bill them for. They'll pay all that, we're not gonna pay it, they're gonna pay it, especially if they did something without permission to do it. Then they'll be on the hook for all the damage they're gonna cause. If, God forbid, they shut a business down, then they're gonna be responsible for lost revenues. So, and I don't wanna see any of that happen.
Take
So
a
they-
spin over there, there could be some inaccurate stories.
Yes, because I said I was there the other day, I think Monday, Tuesday, and I saw, because I drove by, I saw nothing there. I saw two cars there, one was a contractor, I don't know if they were doing building, electrical contractor, and some other kid coming and going, so
May
I
not
didn't
have
see
the
any.
whole story.
So I want to make sure, and maybe the soft open is non-production, because it's all about production for me. They're producing a lot of high-strength water.
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know how I got off on that, but, So Toby Road, and that's why I get there, I'm preparing for that, Toby Road. So we're clearing all the line, we cleaned all the Kendrick lines of all the grease and debris. Today we worked on Toby, we'll finish it up tomorrow of all the grease, debris, grit and everything, so those lines will be perfectly clear in anticipation of that coming online with larger pumps, the whole 9 yards. So the impact to them would be larger pumps that need to replace pumps because they can't replace wet wells. I would like them to regulate the flow inside so they can't empty them tanks as fast as they would like to, unless they want to make a bigger wet well. So those are the kind of things I want from the new engineer, and I'm waiting for that. I talked to the guy today, the engineer for the car wash, and he's going to provide everything we need. They're going to go in there because they have a permit that we all forgot about, issued by the DEP, that's a pre-treatment permit. This town should have a pre-treatment program because we've been issued a pre-treatment permit long ago, 30 years ago. And so I brought that to the attention of the owner and their attorney and their engineer. And they need to adhere to that permit. And that means that they need to notify us of what's going into us, the chemicals, the MSDS sheets, all that. They're supposed to maintain that system that takes up the debris, the rocks and dirt. They took it offline because it was not cost effective to run. So I said to the engineer, all this, and then they've got these oil water separators that are overwhelmed. They're not maintained, and they're not properly.
They don't recycle any water.
No,
They were supposed
They
to.
were supposed to.
That was, they said they
gave
were.
up on that?
That's
They
the one.
did.
old
They never
Charles
did it,
was
I
talking
heard.
about.
Yes.
So when was their
What about this one
pre-treatment?
over here?
That was-
30 years ago.
Huh?
That
Is
would
that
go
when they
nowhere
took it
now.
offline?
We've
He
been
said
recycling
the day went online, they took it
Sorry.
off.
since the 80s.
I know.
Well, that's when they moved it, because they used to be located in the plaza.
Big bus.
This is the car wash next to
Yes,
Charlie's.
They used to be located in the plaza where Walmart was. Where,
Oh, yes, I remember that one. So there was a pre-treatment permit. They took it offline over 30 years ago, so they've been at that site next to Charlie's for 30 years.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, well, Charlie's has been
Time
there that
flies
long.
when it's
Yeah, for fun. I'll tell you, my grandkids, when they get a year old, I said, don't talk to me when I get a year old. You know, you're enjoying it, I'm not, but nonetheless.
So they physically took it offline because it was costing them too much money.
Yes, I talked to the owner, he said originally there were 6 owners. Yeah, I contacted all 6, I don't know the history, there were 6 owners, and now he's the one acting in charge. I said, sir, I really, doesn't matter to me how
Can we
many
shut
owners.
them down until they
They've shut them down, they're
Who's-
back open again. The building commission shut them down for electrical violations, egress violations, and they had a lot of safety issues.
And sewer, but,
The sewer, he called me in.
okay, so he's allowed them to operate again.
They're back again.
And our sewer still has not been corrected.
No, and so I talked to the engineers today and I want to correct it. However, keep in mind, they've been operating for 30 years, and so I said, okay, I will let you continue, but you understand that you need to get this done. We gave them 30 days. And so they're doing it. They're meeting the conditions. I told the attorney that
So
I'll
when
give
is
you.
the 30 days up?
I'm not so sure. I have to look at it. I think it's first in the middle of October.
So 30 days to put the pre-treatment process back online.
30 days to identify, because I don't know.
Oh, identify.
Identify, and that's what they're doing. We don't know what's in the ground for piping. We don't know if there's a water separator for the self-serve. I've seen the water separated for the drive-through. We don't know how the connection was made. We have no concept of
So within
anything.
30 days, we should get a report from them as to what is existing.
That's
Okay,
right.
so it's a report.
And then once we get the report, then we will tell them to repair or replace or make adjustments according to that engineering report. And then our engineer will look at their report to make sure it's accurate and precise. And then we'll move from there. But that's where we are with this, so I just wanted to update you on that. So we talked to their attorney, we talked to their engineer, and Mr. McDonald, who's the owner, said he's willing to do whatever he has to do. So that's where we are with that. So we're moving forward with that.
Do we have anything regarding this other car wash?
I have nothing.
Issues there?
I have nothing. Well, remember that issue came about with this one because of an inspection.
Yeah, right.
So car washes on our pre-treatment program has been low because we only had a couple, so they've been low on my list.
Right.
So
Like
this one,
I mean, you're doing one, I just don't really.
yeah, I didn't get to that. And the lawyer questioned me on that. He says, how do you do the others? I said, no.
What
I
car
said,
wash?
I said, I wouldn't have.
Mike's old place?
There's a car
Like
wash,
Yellow
there's
Body.
a car wash in there.
Sam's new.
There's a car wash in there.
Not
Actually
new,
selling
but
his liquor
Sam's.
store?
Yeah. You know where it is.
Oh, yes,
Sam's.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Gas
gas
station. I
station.
forget the name of the store.
Sam's.
Sam's, yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Big Al place.
So I addressed it with the lawyer, I says, I'm not picking on them. I only went there, they were gonna be down here inspection, but they came to the top only because the town called me in. And I became, aware of some issues, we're gonna address them right now. So don't go there, I'm picking on you, because that's the first, you're picking on me type of mentality, but we're not. And so,
No, you are.
well, we're picking on him, but we're picking on him legitimately, for a legitimate reason, because he's been beating us up for many, many years and getting away with it. I talked to the plumbing inspector about, I was in Midas, not Meineke, Midas, and they have no, you're supposed to have in the garage, you're supposed to have a grate that collects water, and that's supposed to go to a water oil separator. That's the law.
Right.
For some reason, we've allowed all gas stations to remove it. I don't know why, I wasn't involved in that. I sat and watched Midas just water pour out full of antifreeze, oil, go into the catch basin that's taking it into the pond, Dick's Pond, behind a pump station. I asked him, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, you know, we wash it down, we dilute it, and so it's unacceptable. So I turned it over to Dave Menard, I'm gonna turn it over to the the DEP to investigate.
They'll be all over it.
Absolutely. And this is what's happening, so when people say they don't want to put oil separators, matter of fact, last year we made a guy put an oil separator in his garage before he even opened up. Those that have made all these moves and they want to say they're not impacting us, all those things are an impact. So they all need to put floor drains and oil gas separators. And the board, I talked to the plumbing inspector, this one and the last one, and they agree, and it has to be done. How do we enforce it? That's another story, but we'll get to that. I will sit and talk to our attorney.
You said Meineke or Midas?
Midas.
Midas.
I was in Midas. I sat and watched, I was in the parking lot and watched oil, I watched antifreeze washed out of their bay because they work on cars. And where does it go? They wash it down because they can't just keep walking in it, they wash it down. They wash their hands that are full of antifreeze and oil. Where does that go? That's coming to us, and it's an impact. It needs to be addressed. So I just want to bring this voice, that bothers me because I personally sat and watched it. And I addressed it with the owner, and he's very flippant, he doesn't seem to really get it. And I said, I'm not going to go any
He
further with
gets
it.
it.
I'll let the EPA, I'm not sorry, I'll let the DEP deal with it. We'll be on that.
You gotta be living under a rock.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the cost. It's the cost, because when the oil water separator, you gotta maintain it. Anytime you gotta maintain it, it's a cost. Cost taken to profits. It's the bottom line, it means the bottom line.
Somewhere, sometime in the last 50 years, he had to take some kind of environmental course in high school.
It's in business. I mean, you're in business, not anything about your business is a problem.
Cynical.
Okay, so that's that.
Really? I don't think so, that doesn't sound cynical to me.
Sludge, I met with the representative from Yarmouth. Yarmouth is looking to build a digester. I met with their hauler. In the interim, while they're building this digester, they've offered me to look at hauling my sludge to Maine at a reduced cost. I am waiting for their proposal. I'm rereading our proposal with Cedar In our proposal, it does not discuss actual tankers we must send up. It says we have a contract with them. If they are cheaper, then I will start deflecting some of it to them. I'll have our attorney read our
Yeah,
contract
wonderful.
thoroughly to make sure we're not violating it. As I read it, as a layman, it does not guarantee or hold us to any number of loads. As long as we send loads to them. And that could be one a month, one every 6 months, one a week. I don't see any specifics. So I'm waiting for their proposal. And they said because they're making the deal, they're going to build this digester, that they're willing to take ours because we agreed to go in with them. So when the digester's built, we're going to go to the digester. So when I get those, yes, in Yarmouth, when I get those numbers, I will share it with you as to what we can save if we have them take it to, which I will present to you. So we're working on that. I'm trying to get that cost down. So I'm sorry, we'll figure that out. I apologize. This should have been off. I'm sorry. So I'll find out about that, and when I get it, I'll get to you. We have a co-op student that may start next Monday from Upper Cape. We've had a program, we've been doing Upper Cape students for many years. It's a great program. These kids go on to college, one we went on to Mass Maritime. It's a great program. It's a great school. I advocate, I'm on the advisory board. I think it's a tremendous school. These kids learn. Matter of fact, they come out of high school with the ability to make $30,000, $40,000 a year with no debt. It's a terrific program. Upper Cape this year through DEP, we're teaching a grade 3 wastewater license course at our plant. I'm teaching the course, and we've helped a couple of their students get their grade 3 license because they only do it 2. We're trying to up that to a grade 4. So I got to work with DEP because they have a grade 4 plant on their premises. And so if they train, they get the experience, they should be able to test for a 4, so hopefully we get that done. We get these students, because operators are very tough to get. They're in demand throughout the country. They're hard to get. You know, if you're in the business, you're valuable. You get anything going for you, if you have any abilities, you're valuable throughout this country. Probably this world, but the country that I know of, that I can speak of. So we're going to get students, and my goal is, as we lose folks or we attrition, when they come through the co-op program, they go through the summer program, and they can come to work for us. That's the goal, or any other wastewater plant that needs it. And so we need to keep our employees going, so that's what we're doing with that program. It's a great program, we're excited about it, so that's, hopefully next week we have it. We're doing the paperwork, it's all about paperwork. We did this month's testing for the Cape Cod Canal. We've been on every month, we've been sampling 6 points at the bridge, the railroad bridge, at the Mass Maritime outfall, where they parked the Kennedy, out in the eelgrass bed, just off of Mass Maritime, and the eelgrass bed that's down by the pylons where the ships tie it, waiting to go in and out of the canal. And then one by Onset Island. And that's our test sites. And we have to do that in preparation for the outfall relocation, simply because we have to do a baseline establishment of what the nitrogen is existing in all those areas, in the eelgrass and in the waterway. So we're doing that. And the results, or the testing, is being done by Woods Hole Institute, so that their lab is doing all the testing, so that's working well. The announcement for the grant will be September 24th at the Mass Maritime at 10 a.m. The Buzzards Bay Coalition has got a grant, I believe it's for $600,000, and their grant will allow this testing to continue. It's also for us to do engineering. I think someone asked who's paying for all that, the engineering for the upgrade. If their upgrade is to take place, and it's going to be a $7 million upgrade because of the partners, then the cost of building the plant will be borne by all players, not just one, all players. That's the whole concept. If we have no players, it's only for Wareham, and we won't need 7 million gallons, and whatever the cost will bear, but it'll be specific for Wareham. So that's how that's going to go down. So the 24th at 10 o'clock, it's in the Broadmoor, I think it's the Broadmoor room is where it is. I may even have it on my phone. I believe it's the Broadmoor. So you're welcome to come. I've said that we would be there, so
September 24th?
September 24th. I believe it's a Monday maybe, I'm not sure. I'll look at my calendar.
What time did you say?
10 o'clock in the morning. There'll be a couple hours. I think Congressman Keating's going to be there. The EPA director for this region will be there, some other dignitaries, and then there'll also be the grant recipients, and we'll be there, and as co-recipients of this grant, or whatever it is, I think I was written up, but we'll be there also.
So the room is in the big, the normal public, by the cafeteria,
At least the
that
Broadmoor.
area?
At least the Broadmoor. I don't want to quote you, but that. And I know that Mr. Guarino cannot make it because they have the appreciation day that day, so he's bowed out. So we invite all the players, Marion, Mass Maritime, Plymouth, Bourne, all the players are invited to this. So his email to me said that he has a conflict. So we asked to send another volunteer. Let's see, the flyer's supposed to be here, but I believe it's the Broadway. So I got the announcement earlier from the EPA itself, but Corinne just updated it, so I just can't find it, the original. But that's what it is, so the board should be aware, and it's 10 o'clock. It'll be a good time. Congressman Keating has been great to us. Andy in his office, we talk to him regularly. He's a great guy. He's done a lot for us. I just want that to be known. I talked to him quite a bit. They're great people down there. They're responsive. They help. He's done a lot of pushing for us. He's the one that got the Corps of Engineers off our back. Congressman Keating set them right down, so that's really, it's good. Just so for the board's edification. I don't have it. I have it, but I don't have it, so I will email it to you tomorrow with the actual location.
Okay.
Make a note. The actual location of the room, but I believe it's the Broadmoor. That's all. I think that's all I have.
Okay, while we're down at that part of town, I was having a discussion earlier today on the Dakota property.
Oh, yeah.
potential for the surge handling versus what's being discussed at the present time is that it may be more beneficial overall, we have a three-tier system going in, that instead of having a pump for each one, they do a 5,000-gallon tank with a pump there, gravity feed everything to it, and then a pump from there out. Have it on 2 pumps.
What's the benefit?
One breaks down, you got another one.
Well,
Yeah,
each
central
building's
location.
gonna have 4 pumps per building. So if
That
4
wasn't
pumps
the
to break-
discussion that came out the other night at ZBA. There was no
I
discussion
was there at
about.
ZBA.
I understand it, so
and
was
there
I.
was
and
4
there was no-
pumps. I brought it up personally. Look at the tape. There are I've got copies of it, each unit. So you're clear, each building has its own individual tank, at least 550 gallons. In that tank is 4 pumps. So there's 4 pumps per building. 4 pumps for this building, 4 pumps for this building, 4 pumps for that building. So there's redundancy,
So there'll be 20 pumps in total.
depending how many buildings.
Or
And so
5.
there's 5 buildings, so there'll be 4, that'll be 20 pumps. So their concept is because of rags and grease and all the other flushables that people are gonna flush because of children or whatever, that's just the way it's the nature of the beast.
Advertising.
That if this one goes, this one picks up. If this one goes, so they have plenty of redundancy to get there to make the repair,
When
so
you
nothing
say
backs up.
pumps, you don't mean the grinders.
The grinder pumps.
Oh, the grinders.
4 grinder pumps per unit. It's in their plans. That night, they presented it, the plans, it's on the plans. They even put a 1 cut sheet for it specific, it's there. So I don't know the benefit, but to me, it doesn't matter. As long as they're removing rags and they're removing grease and the non-flushables that's gonna be flushed, and they go through their pumps, I'm good with it. That's the mitigation, I'm good with it. If they wanna do 1 pump, 1 big tank, 1 pump or 2 pumps, I could care less. But the bottom line is I don't want the debris, that's on them. And so when I looked at the 4-pump system, to me, it protected us, but it also protected the tenant,
Okay,
because you have 4 pumps.
you go too fast. They will, the 4 grinders, if you looked at it, what we had, there were 4 units inside encased, and so that's what you mean.
Yes, ma'am.
4 entities within a bigger box as opposed to 4 boxes.
Yes, ma'am. So each,
They will remove slower. You said the grinder pumps, one fails, the next one picks up, et cetera, et cetera.
So
And
you're
they will
saying they
remove
didn't-
what
they're
from
saying they didn't agree with
the,
it?
the, the rags, the grease, the debris, what I call non-flushables. Things that they shouldn't flush that we are dealing with now at our pump station. We remove rags and non-flushables from all our pump stations, and it's very costly.
Okay.
It's man-hours.
Now, as they remove it, what is the maintenance contract do we have regarding them,
Minutes?
how they're
Did you get
often-
the minutes?
how often they're cleaned out?
That's not on us, they have to present a maintenance contract to us.
Have
that
we
they're gonna
seen a
have.
maintenance
I haven't seen
contract?
anything. And I don't think that we're gonna see a maintenance contract until they actually get up and running, they hire a company. So they're responsible, I still want it on the deed, but the lawyer said that's unacceptable. I think it's hogwash, but nonetheless, they need to present to us the maintenance agreement to that facility. And that facility always must be in the maintenance agreements. And they must have some way, which allows us to contact the individual. If he's on site, then that's an answer. If he's off-site, then they have to have a way of contacting him immediately in the event of, and so it may want to be advertised to all the residents, or whatever the maintenance guy is, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but that's the gist and that's the
Okay,
reasoning behind
but
this.
we have nothing.
Nothing yet, because they have nothing in place.
But have they agreed to provide a
Yes,
maintenance
absolutely,
agreement? But
they've
we just
agreed.
haven't seen it yet.
We won't see it until they actually get pumps in, but yes, they've agreed, as part of the steps, and at that meeting, they agreed to it, that they would do the maintenance agreement, absolutely. It behooves them, too.
And what was said about electrical
So-
hookup in case there's a power
They
outage?
said they would address it, I didn't get anything specific.
I heard that they never came
So
up with anything.
this will all be documented before they can put a
It's
shovel
gonna be
in
in
the,
the- it's gonna be in the
they can put a
conditions.
shovel in the ground,
Yes, sir, it'll be in the conditions.
unlike what's going on in town now.
That's right. It's in the conditions. And I believe that everybody will hold them to the conditions, and I believe they constitute the conditions in that. It's not on my purview, but that's what I believe. should
Charlie
happen.
made a good presentation on that regarding,
So we have 3 conditions. Grinders,
Yeah,
maintenance agreement,
for the grinders.
and a,
Maintenance
power,
contract.
no, power
generator.
backup.
Oh, yeah,
some type of
generator.
power backup.
Yeah, power back.
I have my letter with me. Sorry about that.
So those three items will be listed in the conditions that we expect zoning to put on Woodland Cove.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'll ask Ken for a draft of it, just to make sure, because Ken and the ZBA are running this. This is their call. I think they're the only ones that,
Does our stuff become part of the planning board approval?
it becomes part of the zoning board approval. The conditions that the zoning board approved, the conditions, all the conditions for everybody, not just us, but all the conditions for all the town, will be in the order of conditions, and they must meet those order conditions. That's how I
And do
understand
we
it.
know if we have Woodland Cove personnel agreeing to these conditions?
They were at that meeting, they agreed. I sat right next to the guy, they agreed. So, but I can't follow
No,
that
but-
up. So I'm waiting for the conditions.
They quasi-agreed to the power.
I don't think it
That's right, I didn't hear any
doesn't
plan.
hold
There
much
was
water.
no jump on board with that.
It becomes a safety issue.
I
You won't have to shut
understand
it
that, you
down.
understand that, but they're not gonna live there.
I thought they were gonna maintain it. I thought they were gonna run it.
They're gonna manage it?
I thought they
Yeah.
were gonna run it.
Excuse me, you know,
On the 12th of September, the hearing is going to be closed.
When?
12th.
12th of September?
September.
They're going to close the hearing. And then they will put together over the next 40 days, conditions, etc. You cannot give them anything after the 12th. When they close the hearing, there's no input from this board. I would suggest strongly that whatever conditions you want, or whatever you're looking for, you send a letter, so you have a record to Ken Buckland saying these are the conditions we want to see in there. Actually, you send it to Nazi, who's the chair of ZBA, because I've already seen the conditions. Everything you're talking about is not there.
We sent the conditions to Nazi, we sent the conditions to Ken. Ken's assured me they're there, so I'll
I
ask Ken
wouldn't
to
trust
follow
that.
up.
He said he hasn't seen them.
Haven't
I
seen
don't
it.
There was
know.
25
Redo it.
conditions at the last
Resubmit
ZBA.
everything you've got.
One at a time, please. At the last ZBA meeting, there was 25 conditions Ken supplied to the group. They went through and wiped out like 18 and 19, just crossed them out, no, we're not doing that, no, we're not doing this. The
Who set
concern,
that up? ZBA? No? ZBA set that up?
yeah, Kevin did the, that's, it all
You know,
runs
you
through,
can come to the
this
table,
whole
we
thing
can hear
runs.
you.
How did they do that without us agreeing? They're getting our items in there.
A lot of the stuff that they put out.
All I can tell you is at the meeting before that one, they had made a comment that they had an agreement with Mr. Campina. And Mr. Campina came in, I think, with the following meeting actually.
But you don't
was
see
there.
it spelled out.
I do not see it spelled out, and I don't have a warm fuzzy feeling that they're really accepting everything as you're listing it here.
I
I
didn't
think
get
there's a
that.
communication disconnect.
I didn't get that feeling at the ZBA that they were accepting what he had
No,
to
but my
say.
concern, just for you, just for the sewer commission, is to make sure whatever you're looking for is written clearly and sent to the ZBA.
Can we get a copy of these conditions before the meeting of the 12th?
You can certainly request it from Nazi,
From Ken?
from Ken, either one. They're both running.
Just sent an email to Ken, the Nazi, saying that Mr. Slavin told us that the conditions were thrown out. Would you please verify? Could you please send me the conditions?
Right.
You want to see what conditions they're going to put forth when they close, because once they close the hearing, you have no more input.
So Ken just,
Now,
On the
you say the
12th.
hearings close on the 12th.
at the hearings.
When does the decision come down?
They have 40 days,
So I want to make sure that.
and I don't know how the vote's going to go.
If I understand this correctly, you said the hearing was closed on the 12th. In other words, at the completion of the hearing, it's closed and we can't go any further. But we can attend that hearing, is that correct, and make input at that point?
Sure.
Okay.
I think anybody, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to, well, he said, the way he was phrasing it, I just wasn't quite,
They're just not allowed to take any input whatsoever once they close the hearing.
I
So
got-
are you
okay.
suggesting we rewrite these conditions and take
well,
them
I
again?
think we rewrite the conditions and make sure that we.
Make sure they're entered into the record.
Make sure they're entered into the record.
So
Including all
even
of
if
this.
they've been in there of these 25 points, do it again.
Well, the 25 points that he's talking about, half of them are fluff that they wanted.
Right.
That, I mean, that's why they got scratched out, you know that.
They were reasonable, they didn't have to do it, so they didn't do it.
Exactly, but this is different. I mean, so we've got
Well, not
basic.
if they treated it the same
This
way.
other stuff is, what we're talking is, what are they talking about? A pool or something
Well-
stupid.
There was a report that Woodland Cove paid for that says that we have the capacity and we don't have to do any adjustments to take on their flow. Was that report shared with the commissioners?
No, I have not seen that.
We have a report.
I haven't seen it.
The-
I haven't seen
The
it.
report was sent to to the chairman of the ZBA and to the town planner as directed, because they cut the check.
Can you,
So I will
can you
have
give me a
Ken.
copy?
How did they speak for the sewer department? How does that
Well,
work?
they don't, well, they actually speak for everybody, but technically, because the ZBA is here, but they asked us for that, and we've complied. The report has been done. The town has the report.
I just
Ken
got the report.
Buckley and Nazi, so.
The bottom line
Well,
is,
I
we're
just-
saying here, we haven't seen the report. Regardless
No.
of who else has seen it, it's
So
immaterial
will you,
to us at the
will you
moment.
please add it to our packet for next meeting? Or do you want to see it electronically before the next
Yeah,
meeting?
I'm gonna have.
Probably because you're gonna have the 12th that's coming up, and the 12th is before our next meeting,
Mhm.
so, yes.
Wild West. It's a Wild West.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sheriff? Mr. Dillon?
Yeah.
I've got your letter here, Guy, and it doesn't mention 4 pumps.
No, it doesn't. They sent us, when we asked them for the grinder, they had said originally at the meeting that Selectmen Slater, that they had to do nothing. That matter of fact, it was all off the table, and they're referring to the tank for the overflow tank, which we didn't need. So we did a lot of emailing back and forth. Ken Buckland, I think Mr. Sullivan was involved in that, and we said, no, you will do grinder pumps. And so at the last meeting we attended, they had revised their plans, and there's a whole cut sheet on this grinder pump showing the 4. So it's not there. We asked for it, but we didn't get anything. But
So
if you look at that plan,
So
we have it at the plan, it's there.
you sent them something after July 10th that specified 4 pumps.
Absolutely, because I was told by Selectman Slaver that nothing was being done, that we weren't even involved.
Right.
And I called Ken, I said, Ken, you got a letter, and Ken says, no, Guy, we've got you, I got it, it's all there. I said, but I'm hearing it's not, so
He
I
hasn't
need
pushed
some
anything
clarification.
on us.
I need to know, so that's when I called, then the engineer from
you wondered
Dakota
how
contacted
Rory
me
got in.
personally. I said, absolutely, you will do grinders.
Yeah.
No one's taken it off the table, so that's.
Peter,
where
what's the
we are.
date of that email, of that letter? No, just the date of it.
July 10th.
So, but there has been more communication since July 10th, another letter, can you find a
There's
copy?
emails back and forth, I have emails. I was on vacation, I was in New Hampshire, we kept going back and forth on emails.
But is there a formal letter to them saying the 4 things we wanted? Other
Yes,
than
the-
the July 10th?
The letter, the original letter is what's being brought forward.
Okay, and that's what Donna's looking at.
No.
Huh? I
No.
didn't see this. Who has it? Peter, this is yours or
No, what is it?
is it yours, Jim?
Not mine.
It's mine.
Yours, Peter?
Everybody got, we emailed to everybody, it was all emailed. It was emailed out.
I've seen it.
So she's seen it, okay. I'm not saying I didn't see it.
Well, no,
I'm just
but-
saying,
but
you-
you
I'm
need to
not
get it
saying,
to you.
just saying, I'm not disputing you sent it to me.
If I had my copy, I'd give it to you, I apologize,
No,
we'll get you a
don't worry
copy.
about it. All right, thank you.
So I'll follow up tomorrow, tomorrow's Friday, but I'll call up Ken tomorrow, I don't know what his status is, Friday they're closed, but he may be, I'll follow up with my email, and I'll actually call him, when I get out, I'll call him personally and get to the bottom of this, so I'm gonna make sure that we're represented.
So you will send electronically the report that was done for Woodland Cove and a copy of the July 10th
I want,
letter.
I want
No, I
Ken to
haven't
do
seen
it
it.
because
I
it'll
haven't seen it
verify
either.
for
You
me
didn't see
that
it
he
either,
actually
this
has it
either?
because
No,
it's
it
given to
didn't.
him.
Okay, will you ask him
Yeah,
to?
absolutely.
And
I
then
want him, absolutely.
And to be included in our next packet.
Absolutely, because
That's the,
he has been
the
given this
beta report
information, it's been given to
and
the
the
chairman of the
engineering stuff.
ZBA.
I didn't see that.
All these letters went to the chairman of the ZBA, and so I need to make sure it's
Oh,
clear.
I
that
like
they
And
have
you will
it.
request that of him.
Mhm. I want them to spit it back,
Okay.
that verifies to me that they have it.
Peter's working with us.
Yeah.
You wanna
Max.
hear
Oh,
it?
certainly, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Superintendent,
Thanks, Peter.
what else?
And it is correct, that's a 12-inch, 18-inch line, there's no impact to it whatsoever. No
Yeah,
impact
I
on
don't
the
question it.
restrictions.
well, you want to
No
hold on to
impact,
it,
zero
read it
impact.
over, let's get it back to me.
And they've also decreased their flow.
I'm just questioning the infrastructure they're putting in because it says we would like to see
I won't get to you. Said-
on that letter, we would like to see doesn't hold any weight.
No, it doesn't, and that's.
We'd like to see, they're gonna do what they wanna do.
But there was follow-up.
I have emails, I'll send you the emails I have between us and Dakota.
Here's-
And
here's
you
the
got the original
conversation between
meeting
the
we
two
had,
people.
and they've agreed to all the stuff in that original meeting.
Yeah.
If you look back at their minutes, the minutes of that meeting, it's all agreed to. We got minutes from Bader and minutes from their engineer. And that
So
gentleman
one
there
last
with the
question,
bid was
guys.
there.
One last question, whatever they have down there, if they have a major failure, right, for pump say they're using that system, they're responsible to hire a private hauler?
Absolutely, it's gonna be in the maintenance.
Not
plan.
us.
Not us, we have not, and that's why we start at the road.
Until it's repaired.
Everything is on them, and that's, with the grinder pump, it's their problem. I don't want the
Don't
problem.
call us.
Don't call us, I don't want the problem, it's their
But
problem.
if they call a private hauler,
Okay.
can he come to
When
us?
did you see that?
If
He'll
we
come
have
to
an
the plant,
agreement,
right?
that's right, we have an agreement, if they have a maintenance agreement
Right.
in place, then when they pump up their
It's on the
chambers,
plant.
we can bring it to
Oh,
the
wow.
plant at no cost, as long as they have an agreement. We already have that existing,
Yep.
The no cost?
because we get it anyways, they're gonna pump it up to us anyways. So if there's a backup, why not?
But
take
at
it?
no cost, what about the EDU? If,
The EDO doesn't stop, like, no cost of disposal at the plant, the truck.
but the
But
EDU
it's-
stays in place?
EDE never goes away.
Yeah.
I don't
But
have,
this
there's
is
no
just in the
cost.
event of
There
a
is no
major
cost,
failure.
there is no cost. We're gonna bring the
Catastrophic.
pumped up material
There's
to
no
us.
additional
Catastrophic
cost.
failure.
There's no cost, there never is a
I'm
cost for
not
that.
calling that cost.
EDU is a separate issue, it's a user fee.
Right.
The user fee never goes away.
Absolutely.
Lindbergh.
Yep. Okay. That it?
No.
That's enough.
Oh, for this,
From the
yeah.
effort.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
15 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna do the,
I turned into a pumpkin.
let's do the warrant articles. This is something
A
discussion.
pumpkin,
Pumpkin.
I hope he turns into a nice looking.
Frog? I don't know.
Okay. First one is the Vectron trailer.
Before we start, I did have a chance to go to accounting, I was there for another reason.
Yep.
We must use a standard reference to all funds. We can't keep deciding different words at different times. We must use Water Pollution Control Facility Capital Appropriation Account. That has to be used at all times on these 4 articles.
Wait a minute.
In the
Run that
motion,
by again.
I will,
Capital
in the
what?
in the motion and in the article. Water Pollution Control Facility, Capital Appropriation Account. There is no fund for FY 2019, there is no enterprise fund expense account. Water Pollution Control, Capital Appropriation Account is the only words that should be used in motions and articles regarding funds available for these 4 articles.
so capital appropriation fund speaks to the 6,001 and the 6,000 accounts?
The,
Because we have 2 accounts, one, we have a
This is-
capital in 6,000 and a capital of 6,001. So is this specific to
this
that?
is what Judy said. I don't know what you need to do, but this is the fund that was set aside right now. Apparently, this was for the capital items, and this is Water Pollution Control Capital is what is on here. We had money in it. Apparently, the 39,000 for A&W was applied as a capital expenditure and deducted from this account, which surprised me because I don't remember it being approved as a capital expenditure. But the balance remaining is just over $628,000.
A&W was taken out of last year's capital
Nope,
account.
could
Yes,
not,
it was.
nope.
That's right, so it's coming out of Walmart because we submitted the paperwork back at the end of May. They never processed it, it went past the year, so now we have to figure out something different. It's because
Went
the
against-
timing of it, I'm telling
It
you.
went against this account. Well, anyway,
Well, what
whether it
hell's
was
it going
this.
against? It isn't.
The,
It's
the
going against
water
Walmart.
pollution control capital, no, not Walmart, is against your appropriation, capital
Account.
appropriation account is where they've applied it.
6,000 or 6,001?
It doesn't have a number on it, I
Yes, it is.
don't know.
It does, 6,000. So here's your 6,000 right there, it's 6,000.
Oh, okay, so that's where they count, okay, so it's the 6,000.
So 6,000 operating budget. In our operating budget, we have a capital approved by town meeting.
Okay, and that was what was
Yes.
in there for, yes,
No, but again, the capital account that we're talking about for Water Warriors and the screw press is coming out of 6,001.
And I do not have that balance. What is, any idea what it is?
Last night it was 14 million, but you'll have to ask Judy for specifics. We have to, I
Right
have,
now, we have nothing in retained earnings because the books haven't been closed.
the books were closed in 2016 of $3 million retained earnings. I haven't seen the closing of 20, I think they're behind on closing.
They haven't closed the
Yeah, they
books.
haven't. They haven't closed it for 18, but they should have closed it for 17. I haven't seen 17 retained earnings. I've seen 16 certified retained earnings. But there has to be 17 because we sat at this very table for the Springtown meeting. And Mr. Sullivan said take 2.5 million out of retained earnings. I would suggest to you that it was certified or he wouldn't have taken it from it. So we know we have at least 2.5. We had 3 million and we add to it annually. Because what we do, what goes into it is the fees for the many things, sewer development fees, none of that's part of the budget, it goes right into retained earnings. So it had to grow, because we took nothing out that previous year. So again,
It's not being closed, we don't have that figure.
I don't have the figure.
So-
I can just
so
give you the
it's
last
zero
figure.
at this point. I mean, what
Well,
I'm
it's 3
saying
million.
is we don't
We
have.
know the
a
last
figure
was
to
3
work
million.
with.
The last was 3 million, so it's 3 million.
And 2016 was 3 million.
3 million, certified.
Okay,
By the
certified.
DOR. So we have that number, so that's what it is. Until we're told differently, it's 3 million.
Of which we just
Sam-
took, in which we just took out 2.4 million.
2.4.
2.5 million for the Swiss Beach project. It says
Yes,
2.5 million
from
from
retained.
certified retained earnings.
Absolutely. So we know we had 3, so, but it could have been more, but we had 3, we know we had 3, we appropriated 2.5, so right now we know there's $500,000 in retained earnings without recertification for 17, but based upon 216 certified numbers. Because we have to have numbers or we wouldn't have suggested we take 2.5 out. I don't see that being done blindly.
Sandy, let me go back here. The only, on the warrant article, on all of them, it's gonna be water pollution capital appropriation account.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to defer to Judy because that's incorrect. Because I want to tell you that the Vactron and the pump trailer has to come out of 6,000. That's been $950,000 been appropriated at town meeting in that account. We agreed not to spend it all because we sat at this very table, you were part of that meeting, where we said we'd only authorize it this time, we'd authorize the generators, and that was it, because we were going to take some money out to make payments back. We didn't know what that was going to be. We guessed it'd be 500,000. So there's 450,000 in that account.
I got the words from Judy,
Okay.
so I will check with her with
Please.
Monday to make
Please.
sure that this is coming
Please.
out of the 6,001 account.
Yes, the Vactron and the trailer come out of 6,000. 6,001 is our capital, and the other things are coming out of 6,001.
And the difference between the two?
Is one is a capital, for lack of a better word, capital savings account, and one is an active capital in our operating budget to be used on an ongoing basis.
So which one is which?
6,000 is.
One's a checking
is
account, one's a
in-
savings account.
Yes, 6,000 is in our active expense revenue account. That's the act, that's what's approved at town meeting.
Checking
So,
account.
so 6,000 is not capital.
There's capital in it, if you look at the budget. Look, there was a budget approved at town meeting. When you get home, look at the town meeting records of what was approved, and you will see it says capital.
Disperse that as-
Capital outlay is what it says.
Don't we
Let
have
me
to
have
put a
copy.
number
Let me
on
see if I have
this?
a copy for this. I think I bought one just to show you.
On the back.
Let me just get the right page.
So the A and W came out of 6,000.
It did, but it's not any longer because the paperwork wasn't done
None
timely.
of them do.
We send contracts at 6 to 8 weeks before we see them. So we went out of time, the end of the year closed, so I can't take it out, so I'm taking it out of Walmart. I have no control over the
I don't know
process
what
of
Walmart
contracts.
is.
It's a gift of $50,000 to us.
It's a store up in West
Yes, I know that, but what is a Walmart?
They gave us $50,000 for I&I,
Oh, okay.
and so it's coming out of there.
I&I contribution, out of the goodness of their heart.
Yes.
And they've
They
got-
called it a gift, but it's really was I&I,
They've
it
got to
was
their
the
head.
original
Numbers
concept,
for
but I
each
don't
one
know.
of these things.
Words change and that contribution.
Yeah, 'cause-
Wanna know.
I mean, I
Well,
asked,
I mean, I can't imagine towns saying yes
Good question.
when they don't have any numbers.
Ask the question.
Guy, on all of these town warrant articles, don't we have to put a number on them?
I'll give you numbers. Claire, we talked to Claire, she said, don't put numbers, you button, but when you do the actual motion, she established the vote, they actually put numbers. So we do it general, but I can clarify with Claire because
I
I
would
went by her.
prefer to see them in the motion,
I can give them to you, but
because the motion is printed in the handout to the
Yes.
people who see it.
and I think,
The article, sorry, I take that back. The article is seen by the people in the handout. The motion goes on the screen.
Right.
But it should be in the article, so people who look at it, looking at a dollar amount, because none of these
does.
have any dollar amounts.
I know, it does, because when Claire sits down with Mr. Bowen and all the powers that be, they do all this, all the numbers are added at that time.
No,
before
they don't
the
add
meeting.
the numbers,
We
we
give
add
it
the
to them,
numbers, yes.
but they- but
Well, right now, there's nothing in what,
We have nothing.
When we have, I'll give you the numbers, when we got our instructions from the moderator to prepare this, she suggested, I'll show you it in writing, don't put any numbers, so you can take it, I'm just doing what I'm asked.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. So
How do you
can
want
take
us
it
to
for-
They
approve
go
not
in
knowing
both.
the numbers?
I'm gonna give you numbers, but in the motion that we
Article and
submit to
motion.
Mr. Bowen and the moderator, she suggests, I've got her worksheet, it says no numbers, we're following her worksheet.
And I've
I
done
thought
the
she was in charge
worksheet
of
too,
articles,
and,
but I'll do whatever you want me to do.
CPC must put their numbers in it.
Yeah, we give the
That
numbers.
doesn't sound likely.
I'll show you, I'll show you.
I would
Well,
prefer the
I'll post the
numbers.
question.
I don't know what the question is. So
Okay,
this is,
let's go back.
this is your 6,000 account, all right? And so all these
Okay,
accounts we have,
Yeah,
and so if you look, there'll be a capital outlay, and that's the one that.
and that was approved at town meeting as part of your
Absolutely.
whole budget. And
Absolutely.
what was the
Yes,
capital
ma'am.
outlay?
Let's take this
That's-
other, this-
That's the,
Okay,
that's the thing it's called, I'll give you the actual wording of it.
right now, we need to do something on these warrant articles.
okay, so the first warrant article is for the Vactron,
Vacuum trailer. Yeah.
Capital
Right.
expenses,
And-
there it is right there. And that
Question-
budget had, this is
And
2017.
the question that was raised,
I'm trying to,
$905,000.
listen, here's
So
the,
this- This is what it is, so what you want, we'll call anything she wants, but this is what's in the budget.
okay,
And this is the budget she gives
So,
us at the
the-
town meeting.
the question,
Vactron,
hello, guys.
Can
The
we
question
move
that
through
was raised on this Vactron trailer is if we're spending, how much are we spending for this thing?
$57,000.
For the Vactron trailer, vacuum trailer was how much?
$57,000.
$57,000.
I rounded to 60,000, just
Yeah.
made easy numbers.
well, what do I put in the article?
60,000.
60.
Oh, the article, you're gonna put 60,000 in?
The article in motion will have 60K.
Okay, and at the same time, we've got a, because you were repairing the truck to the tune of 45,000?
No, $45,000 a pump.
Pump trailer.
No,
Pump trailer.
we're not talking about that. We're talking about the tag-along Vector's costing, what I have here is the tag-along's gonna cost us 85,000.
No, the tag-along back is gonna cost us 60,000.
Say what?
Here's,
$60,000.
Guy, here's the memo.
Yeah, the tag-along Vector, when this memo went out in August, they gave us a quote of 85,000. We called for the NJPA, the same Vector, Vermeer. They quoted us $60,000. That's the most recent quote. They sent you a copy of that
So
quote.
that's this
I've
quote.
got a copy of that,
Yes.
57,000.
Here it is, 60,000, that's why I sent that
That's a
quote.
guess.
Because it was a new quote. I got it
56,800.
right.
So
And that's
this,
through the NJPA
So
quote.
this one is old.
That's an email.
Yes, that's old. So I just keep sending things out. Yes.
Clarification.
My question
Okay,
is, why are we rebuilding the truck if we can?
We don't know what we're gonna spend, we're looking at it, because if the truck can be rebuilt for a reasonable amount of money, it's a good backup. But I gotta feel it's gonna cost a lot more, and if it does, we're gonna throw it away. But I have to at least get the quotes.
good.
I
I
can't
would
just
get the
assume.
quote.
I gotta get all the quotes, we weigh it out,
What
and we make a
what you're
decision.
saying at this point, you don't have quotes to make a decision on it at this.
To repair it.
Right.
And what I'm saying, at this point, I have
So-
nothing,
Okay, so that's out of the picture right now.
absolutely. As far as I'm concerned right now, it's parked in this junk.
Okay,
It's
so
sitting
all
there.
we're talking about now is this Vactron vacuum trailer, which can
Yes.
get towed behind
A truck, a pickup
a
truck.
pickup truck. It's not a fifth wheel situation.
No, it's not.
and the
Okay, it's a-
funding
it's a-
source,
Will be the
6,000 or
6,000 account,
60,000.
6,000 account. If you look
Okay,
at the original.
no,
six-
I'm writing
6,000
down
account.
6,000,
Yes, 6,000 account,
6000.
which is right there, says capital
Yep.
expenses, 6,000 account,
Well, it's
is what it's coming from,
60,000, but okay.
60,000, yes,
That's-
6,000 account, it's 60,000 out of 6,000 account.
Okay, will be
Six-
the funding
six-
source.
Six is everywhere, but
And I will get the actual true name of what to put in the article
Yes,
for the source of this $60,000
Yep.
from Judy on Monday.
And she may use appropriation.
Okay,
for
do I have a
something-
motion?
You know what I mean? Maybe
Let's go, do I
appropriate.
have a motion on this
No,
article?
I just have a question.
Certainly,
I have a question.
right ahead.
So this tag-along
Mhm.
is gonna replace the aging truck that you already have?
Yes, ma'am.
And it does the job, but
Yes, ma'am.
is the truck broken now?
Yes, it is. It's
It's
unusable.
unusable, okay.
We just spent $23,000 to rent a truck for the work
Gotcha.
we've done. $23,000. It's $1,800 a day. We
Gotcha.
tried to rent it at $700 a day. We were denied. We were told that we can't do business out of town, out of staters.
Okay.
So we're spending $1,800 a day. I just cut a check for $23,000. I'm waiting for another one. It's probably gonna be another $20,000 in rentals. So yes, we have no truck. And so how do you wanna do it? We'll continue to do
$1,800
it. A day. And that's the cheapest quote. We put it all over the state. It's the cheapest quote.
So,
You say this can be towed?
Yes, and so one of the values is, because it can be towed, and it's under 26,000 GVW, it puts us into a regular license, not a Class B, so it
It's
becomes
under what?
available to all of us. Under 26,000 GVW,
it's smaller.
Empty?
full, with water and debris. And the truck has to be under 12,000, so we weigh the truck, we weigh the Vector, we have them spec it full, so I know what the weight is. And then we get the truck, and we add them together, and it's under the weight. So it's like you towing a trailer behind your truck, it's gonna be under 26,000 GVW for your Class D.
But this thing weighs 6,000 pounds empty. So as soon as you fill it with water, it's above the weight.
26,000 pounds? 6,000 pounds is 2 ton, 26,000 is 14 ton? I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah.
When you look at the weight, it's actually full, it's greater than 6,000 pounds.
It's total, yeah, it's 24,000. 12 ton.
It's not 20, can you see that? I just brought that the wrong, it's not 24,000. This is 26,000, well,
Which one are you buying?
I'm buying the
The
one,
573?
the LP 87363 SGT, yes. It's a 14,000 GVW. Here it is, I'll give you the actual bill. Here's the bill. So you probably got many, but see the bill, 14,000 GVW. That's the gross weight of that vehicle, 14,000. So this may be just a flyer of all their equipment, you gotta put
It
it
is.
in that. Yeah, so this one we're buying right here is 14,000 GVW.
All right.
That's what we purchased.
I make a motion that we accept, that we submit the warrant article for the Vactron vacuum trailer as written and provided with the conditions that
We,
that
Right,
were
we
set,
have the correct wording.
the correct wording, yeah.
And Commissioner Slade will take care of the wording.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
500.
So we will add dollars,
Yeah,
add 60K, and confirm,
The next item we have is the bypass pump trailer. And what is that?
$45,000. That's $45,000.
45,000.
It's a 10-inch, 2,400 gallon per minute pump,
24 what?
100 gallons per minute.
Wow.
what account?
This was all the original proposal in that budget. It was removed so we could do but there's still 450, so we're gonna take it right out of it and put it back in.
Now, none of these have been approved by capital planning, correct?
The Vector's been, I didn't
No,
have that.
no, I've not seen this come before capital planning.
Let me look, you could be right, but I thought I pulled a list of. I think
Well, the
you did that.
vacuum truck had been submitted at $350,000.
That's right. And this is what we're doing, but we're not
Yep,
spending
but that was
$350,000.
not approved for expenditure at this town meeting.
But
I
that
just-
Well, I know, but I thought it was on the
particular
capital.
item that you're addressing, Sandy, was a vacuum truck.
Yes,
And we're not addressing a vacuum truck here.
we're
but
removing
nonetheless.
that from the list and,
Right, that's getting removed from the list, and it's the
That's what I'm
trailer
thinking,
instead
it's a
of.
trail instead of a truck. We can spend 60 opposed to 350 and get the same
yeah,
thing.
totally understand. I'm just trying
She
to,
wants to get that cleaned up, I understand.
How much does it cost you to rent those pumps, that pump?
We just, that's a good question. We just rented one for the storms,
Mm-hmm.
and we spent $23,000 or $21,000 to rent that pump for 6 days, 7 days.
21,000
Yeah, we rented, what happened is that the basins everything
for
overflowed.
6 days?
6 days. And so we pumped around the clock just to put everything on the ground. We filled up we had to call it the DEP. So what I'm saying is that and the thing that troubled me is I have to go out and find it. If I couldn't find a pump, I'm dead in the water, because there's no way I can move
They're
it.
not
So,
easy to find.
and they're not, so, because everybody rents them. So my
Yeah.
point is that if I have one on site, then I can start the project a lot earlier, keep myself from being behind the 8 ball and just get it
And
done.
avoiding rentals?
It's another
Absolutely.
insurance
It's
policy.
an insurance
Okay.
In
policy.
the event of a major.
Yep.
Now, this would also aid you in maintenance at the pump station.
Yes, I can bypass the pump station with this.
Okay.
You have a pump station down.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised we don't have one.
We
Okay.
should have one.
I
We
make,
had one years ago, and it broke and nobody ever replaced it.
I make a motion that we present on the warrant, the bypass pump trailer, for water pollution control facility in the amount of $45,000 to the town meeting for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
500.
Did we vote on the vacuum trailer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I just didn't record it.
Which one?
There was a 60,000 to 6,000. I think we did because 6,000.
Okay, here's the screw press.
So, do we want to do it, or do we not want to do it? Because you've got the numbers, I sent you the
What
numbers,
is,
I have them here.
what is the amount of the screw?
1.1 million.
1.1 million?
Yes. If
What
we
does this
can-
do with Yarmouth?
This has nothing to do with the element. This was, in other words, what's happening in the industry. I got a letter from all the haulers that the incinerators are gone. We only have 2 incinerators, one in Cranston and one in Woonsocket. So the industry is upside down. We can't get rid of it. And we have our agreement with Synagro because they're the owners of the facility in Woonsocket. At the time, we talked about a screw press because we could.
The reason, just so for clarification, if anybody didn't understand, the reason that we have it with Cinero is because they're the only ones that would accept all of the deliveries that we need to make.
But aren't we
The other
also,
one would not guarantee acceptance of it.
I totally understand, I remember that, but
Yeah.
didn't earlier this evening we talk about Yarmouth
No, we
having
did.
a
They're building.
digestive
They're
system?
building.
They're
They're building.
building.
They're
Do
building,
we
they have nothing at the moment
But
to
if we
help us at all.
do buy this now, would we then be sending product to Yarmouth to digest, or?
We'd have to make a decision, yes, and the reason why, if you look, you may not have got a copy of it, this was sent out to the board, we did the actual numbers, and the actual cost of it, and then the numbers were done, the maintenance, the whole 9 yards, and at the time, because we're going to turn it into a 22% solid, we're gonna reduce the amount of loads, we're gonna reduce the amount of
Totally
cost, and that's what it
understand
is.
why there's a screw
So
press to
here's the
reduce
deal.
volume.
If Yarmouth is planning on building it, that's what they said, and we got a couple, I'll show you the proposal. Do we not do this at this town meeting and keep riding like we are and work with Yarmouth? And if that all falls apart for whatever reason, we can come back at it in the spring.
Exactly.
That may be the way to approach this.
I would recommend that myself personally,
Yeah.
because I don't think we should buy this thing or.
Because it's the newest,
Put it at
We've
this.
had so many
We got enough-
unexpected
we got enough
expenses
toys
that we've
running around now.
had to throw.
well, this isn't a toy, but I see what you're saying, let's
No.
start from a toy.
It's a
But
new
with the new, no, it's not a toy, it's a necessity, but with the new addition of Yarmouth, that puts another whole flavor on it, it may be cheaper than this.
And if we
But
find that
Water-
they're 3
and
years down the
Water
road.
Warriors supposedly is going to take a
Reduce sludge
impact
also.
on that, so,
No.
it doesn't, I don't think we should go with it.
So I make a motion, we withdraw
Withdraw the-
the placeholder?
Yes, on the screw press, yes.
Would this replace the gravity belt?
Yes. Gravity belt thickener is at 5.1%.
Do we have a place to put it?
Yes, right next to the gravity belt thickener.
And what's the waste from this?
22% solid goes to a landfill.
Excuse me?
22% solids, it goes to a landfill. So we'd have less trips to the landfill.
So we have no we have no transportation cost to pay.
We pay transportation costs for transportation and disposal at a landfill, which would be 1/3 the cost, because right now
But I
we're doing
mean,
it every day, so that wouldn't go away. It should be
don't we
less.
have a dump truck?
We have a tractor trailer, we own it, it's at the DPW, and we could probably put that into the equation, absolutely, I'd have to hire a driver, we'll do that math, but yeah, you're right, we can do that, we have it. We had talked about it before, and it.
So we
didn't
could
go
take it,
anywhere,
we could take it and dump it ourselves.
but we could dump it into our trailer, absolutely, and take it out and haul it ourselves up there, absolutely, we have a tractor trailer, we own it.
Do we have someone with a drive, CDL license?
If we take
We-
this
we
to
had a
town
guy
meeting
that
and
left
get
us and went
approval,
to the
that doesn't
DPW.
mean we have to follow
We
through.
could hire somebody with
I-
I wouldn't even take it to town meeting at this point, I'd do it maybe the next one, if nothing pans out on the south side.
So there's a motion to withdraw the placeholder.
Yes,
Gee, I don't know. I mean, if we take it to town meeting and get approval, we don't have to do it. But at least we know we can.
I just think you're bringing too much to town
I
meeting
think
right
so.
now.
I think so.
I really do.
I'm with you, Donna. I think that's, maybe just overkill at this point. And we just,
I'm good for the spring on that one,
Yeah.
because it's too convoluted.
Mhm.
We don't know where we're
Okay.
going.
Too many options.
back off.
I got a
think in the
motion.
spring we ought to.
I don't have a s- I don't have a
Things don't
second.
work
Second.
out, I think that
Sandy and Donna.
it's changed.
Mhm.
All in favor, withdrawal?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
This Yama thing just came on our plane, it's
Withdraw.
really a good thing to look into.
Want Sandy and Don?
That's Sandy. Okay, the request for transfer of funds.
Which account would this be from?
Which one?
The Water Warriors? The Mass CEC?
6,001. But that's tabled, because you want more clarification on numbers. It's tabled, so we'll
Well, we
bring that.
tabled
The
the
transfer of
contract.
funds? We tabled the contract. Oh, so this is part of, this had to do with that contract. So that's a moot point. We don't need this one
You can't
either.
transfer it if we don't, if we're not gonna do it, we're not gonna do it until you get the numbers. The next meeting, we'll revisit the
But
next meeting.
can we really wait until spring town meeting to do this?
This isn't for springtime.
I mean, sorry, for fall town meeting.
This is-
Well, we've already-
no, I'm
this
sorry,
is fall.
for
This
spring.
shit,
But
sorry.
this
Can
is
we
the-
wait another 6 months?
We've
we're not
already
waiting
voted
another
to,
6 months. We're
we've
gonna
already
wait.
voted to wait 6 months to spring.
No, that's for the screw press, but on the Water Warriors, we agreed to drop it until you get better numbers.
Yeah, but if
To
we
make a
get better
decision.
numbers in 2 weeks,
We need.
we won't be able to get this on the warrant.
When does this have to be on the warrant?
They have, selectmen must put it on the 11th.
But don't we have to apply for the grant? Don't we have a deadline there?
Grant's already applied for it, we're waiting for the actual announcement. We've been approved. Grant's a done deal.
Okay, so that's not a time problem.
No, and so then what the grant people ask me is, do you need it, because they will give it to somebody else. And so we haven't made any commitment to them. And so the CEC, Mass CEC is saying, I gotta call up and listen, what are you doing? You know, this has been in the works for 6 weeks, and we need to make an announcement, and so are you gonna be part of the announcement or not? So I said, I will get back to you.
Okay, my question right now is, on this transfer of funds, how many dollars are you looking to transfer?
$237,000 transfer from the Water Warriors.
Okay,
But you don't need the rest of the package. That's the number we need.
that's the number we need.
Put it in
You're
we
gonna
can-
submit,
240,000.
Okay.
next month.
okay, you're gonna submit to us, and at this point, I would say electronically,
Okay,
the breakout of these numbers.
yes.
That's where the thing is.
That's
And
what
we're gonna
you-
get that this week.
And this would be coming from
So
6001.
Yes, I can give it to you.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah, okay, so that we will have this, we
Ready
will
to-
all have this prior to the 11th.
so I said email it, so what I'll
And
do
if
is,
anybody has an issue with it after they've got it, then we can turn around and pull this then,
Or reduce the amount.
or reduce the amount.
okay, so I'll
That's a
send
good
an
idea.
email to the board, we'll do
Yeah.
it tomorrow or Friday.
That's how the motion should read.
That we will approve the warrant article pending final numbers.
Right.
Mhm.
Does that sound right, Matt?
Say it again?
240,000.
We will approve this warrant article to be submitted to town meeting, pending final numbers to receive from Mr. Campina. We're questioning the contract.
Hold
Not to
on.
exceed 240?
Hold on, why don't we just put it in as 240? We can withdraw it up
That's
until
what
right
I'm
before the
saying.
meeting.
That's exactly what I'm
You know,
saying.
so just put it in as said here, it's for the 240. That's what Jimmy said.
Okay, I make a motion,
Well,
we,
what if the numbers come up higher?
You just withdraw it.
we
just
withdraw
Call it
it.
up.
We just withdraw it.
So
We can,
we have that option.
we can meet right before town
You can
meeting
withdraw-
and pull it out.
And on the, we can pull it on the floor.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Just say the day of.
Propose it, Donna.
I propose that we submit the warrant article for the request to transfer funds in the amount of $240,000 as written here.
Well, for the account to be determined, the awarding of the account to be determined.
Why the word in the
I don't know what 6001 reads in the accounting department.
Oh, okay, so how about if I just say I propose to submit the article to the town meeting floor for the request for transfer of funds for $240,000 as we have it right now, subject to 6,000 or 6,001 fund.
Subject to confirmation of funding source.
That's the way we want it.
Confirmation of funding source?
A
Yeah.
funding source.
Fine.
Okay,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
5-0-0. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know where to put this, so I'll bring it to your attention right now. The Bader contract for the major pipeline, I have it here.
I was just gonna ask you about
It
that.
didn't make it here, I'd like to bring it, because it's actually in your packet here to be signed. I have it here, I've got a copy for each one of you to read.
Okay.
I would like to expedite this.
Did you make the changes in that
That
were
Mr. Bowen requested, they're in there, we took out the changes, and we added the numbers of their insurance.
Oh, thank you.
We did exactly what he asked, it's in here, you can read it for yourself.
Well, I was looking there, I was asking about this today.
I did it today, I had to get all the data, we had the numbers, I wanted to make sure their liability insurance is where the hangup was, and so we got the actual numbers.
Because we need to get this out and working
We're in trouble.
ASAP, because we're running out of time, we're in trouble.
And this is not on our agenda.
No, it's not.
I'll bring it up under unfinished business, we talked about it before.
We expected it.
Yeah, so we talked about it before we got out on unfinished business, we've already had this on the floor at an earlier time, but I
It
just wanted
certainly
to.
doesn't give us time to read it.
No, it doesn't.
Well, most of it's boilerplate in here anyhow.
It is, and Mr. Bowen's letter required us to remove 4.1, I believe it was 7.3, and he wanted the liability insurance numbers in there, so that's
Where
what
are
we
the
did.
rates? I don't see any rates.
I'm sorry?
Are the rates displayed below? Oh, okay, oh, see attachment 8, I'm sorry.
So we don't know what the contract's gonna cost, but we already know what the engineer wants, so.
The engineer has to do the, this is to do the bidding, the vetting, the awarding, and so we need the engineer to start the whole process. Because they're the ones that have to find the contractor. They're the ones that have to put the paperwork out to
You
get
know
the
how I
contractor.
feel about
And
it.
this is part of the this is part of the $10 million,
Yes, it is.
Right.
It's actually part of the $5 million already appropriated.
well, the whole article
Yes, it's
was
out
for
of the
10 million.
Yes, it's out of that, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What is,
So, once we find out what the numbers are, then we can figure out what we have to borrow.
This is,
what is the proposed time frame on this? What is it included in here?
This contract is for a year, but they should be done in months, because they've got to get this
I realize
going.
that. I mean, how long is it gonna take Beta to get up, to get everything in and out?
They've sent me a signed copy. Once we sign it, they're gonna go immediately so it's gonna take, by law, it's gonna take 6 weeks, because we gotta advertise it, they gotta go to the state, Combus, all that good stuff. So that's 6 weeks in itself. And then we have to wait a couple weeks to get back the actual quotes, and then we gotta vet them. So, I mean, time is just
Is
clicking
there any
away.
way to accelerate this timeframe?
I'm not, I can ask the question, but the law is the law. We gotta advertise for 2 weeks, it's gotta be in this, that we cannot circumvent,
Yeah.
that's the law. So that I cannot accelerate. Maybe their, you know, their, what is the word, diligence in finding the contractor, maybe they can speed it up as engineers, but the law is the law, and specific of advertising and that stuff.
I would kick the engineers in the ass and see what they can get moving, because I don't, you know, we just don't have that much time to play with.
No.
This is too late in coming out, it should have been out a month
Absolutely,
ago.
it's been a long time ago.
Uh,
We sent this to attorney, I didn't want to get to that, but this was sent to attorney weeks ago.
So he has to.
But I understand he's not, he doesn't work for us, he works for me, because, so I understand his time is very limited, and he has a lot on his plate, so it is what it is, and we move forward.
Okay. I know you guys don't have time to digest everything that's in here, although.
Have you
not
seen
much
this
in
before?
here.
Have
This
you seen-
specific piece, no. I mean, I know where our discussions have been around all of this and what's involved in it, but
Can I just ask a question?
certainly.
Yeah.
And I'm lost here. Okay, this is for the sewer main rehabilitation in Main Street?
From Swiss Beach Road and Mather, that intersection,
Yeah.
to Narrows Pump Station.
Oh, I thought we already did it.
No, we
I thought
did a
that's what
little
we just
piece,
did.
no, we did a little piece on High Street, because that was getting ready to collapse, so we did that immediately.
The High Street one,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
That was the Band-Aid.
this is the additional $10 million that we're
Yeah.
looking for?
Yeah, this is a $10 million project. We've already been approved, this is a $10 million. This is not to get the engineers to get going on it. So we get-
This is the one that goes through Ripley's behind the high school.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
behind you.
yeah, yeah.
Under the swimming pool.
Yeah, I know.
So that's what we're trying to get it
Or
going.
through the
because
swimming pool.
Well,
Winter scares me.
ask them guys, if they get to like 75%, you can have an early start.
We want to start at ASAP, and so the goal is to get this out in the streets immediately. We got, the biggest hangup we have is that the procurement laws require us to advertise it at the state level for so long.
Yeah.
That I cannot circumvent. Once that's in, we're gonna put it in the street. While that's going on, they're gonna write the complete package that we're gonna send out to each contractor. So it's gonna go out. It's gonna go out nationwide. And then we'll take the bids in, and then we'll vet them, the engineering firm will vet them with us, and then we'll make a decision and we'll move forward. That's the process.
How long is it gonna take them to write up the,
Specs.
They've been working on it unofficially.
well, I hope they've got it done and ready to
Yeah,
go
they've been
the
working
same
on it
time they
officially.
get this, because that,
But remember, they're investing time and money with no guarantee, and that's, I get it, but they haven't, they know us.
Have they done any work first before?
Yes, they know.
Have they been paid before?
Yes, they have.
Then I don't wanna listen to their horseshit.
Well, I understand that, but they have principles that they have to listen to. I understand that. There's bosses, like we have bosses, they can, Mr. Drake's been working on this behind the scenes in his own time without the permission of his boss because there's no contract. So he's doing everything he can with, behind the scenes.
But
Once
this
this is approved, his boss will give him
This
authorization.
is a contract for the engineering,
Engineering only, yeah.
Yes.
engineering only.
Engineering.
Was there a bidding
My
process
Yes,
to
there
get
was.
it?
Yeah.
Free contract.
Okay, so there was a bidding
That's right,
process
and
in
this
that.
was the lowest, yes,
This was the
absolutely.
lowest. Okay,
So I don't know what he's.
what fund is this coming out of?
This was coming out of the capital, I don't know the number, it's coming out of the $10 million warrant article at town meeting.
Okay,
That we already got approved.
oh, yeah, good. Okay, no, that's, so,
So this is,
okay.
Okay, so in the paper, you can sign it like this, and I'll get this expedited.
Need a motion on,
I make a motion, we accept this contract as written.
Second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
0-0. Okay. This is monkey business.
A couple things. A year ago, I'll be as quick as I can, please. The property's not tied into town sewer as of May 2017. Can we get an updated list
Sure.
Okay.
as to who hasn't? Because it's silly to put in sewer and have 50 people in Oakdale and Cremisa
yeah.
not tied in.
Oh, yeah.
And 28 at Parkwood and Tempest Knob not tied in.
I'll take it a step further. We have Rose Point not tied in, we have Hathaway not tied in.
But it was
Yeah.
my understanding that their contract did not require their tie-in.
It's a town bylaw. Look at the date of that bylaw.
Okay,
It's a
so
bylaw.
that
It's not a
we
contract, it's a
can,
bylaw.
we can go back to Briarwood and Beaver Dam in 2007, and 6 still haven't done it, and we can force them?
Absolutely, it's a bylaw. The town bylaw says you must tie with 1 year. It's in the articles. Read the article, the sewer article, it's there. So everybody has to tie in.
Yeah, the
and let it-
discussion-
Because I would like to have an update, and then we can put it on the agenda for next,
I had the discussion with Mr. Bowen today, and he suggests that these go to the Board of Health.
oh, we have to give them the list?
I understand, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Well,
Go
we
to the
have,
Board of
yeah,
Health.
we have, like, we just compare it to the list that we got last year in May.
Let's make sure that anybody in that list does not have a new system that's less than 5 years old, because they get exempted.
Yeah, but you don't have
That's a
anything-
good, that's a good point.
And
That's a
Mr.
good
Chairman,
point.
before,
That's-
I want to make it known that you have a selectman that hasn't tied in, and so you should address it with him also, so we can keep it from.
No, you need to address it.
Well, I didn't know politely how to go about it.
How long ago was, how
Same you
long,
do with anybody else.
Guy, how long ago was Oakdale
No,
done?
no sewering on that.
2012, I believe.
Okay, so we're in excess of the 5 years already on everybody.
There was, as far as I remember, there's no 5-year.
Who's the selectman?
Yeah,
That
they can vote
5-year
for that.
discussion came up at some point, I don't remember when, but I remember that back
We need better
years
numbers.
ago, that if you, where they were putting it in, I didn't forget the
Yeah,
name.
we need better numbers on it.
But that if you had a new system
Who's the
in,
selectman?
you
Who's the
had
selectman?
5 years.
Five
Who's the
years.
selectman not tied
You know,
in?
it was a graduated thing depending on the age of your system.
I believe we fulfilled all those obligations.
5 years was the max time, and that was
Let's
if somebody put
verify
in a
it.
new system.
Okay.
5 years.
So
We'll verify it.
everybody has been in excess of 5 years.
We'll verify that.
So, as far as I'm concerned, the entire list that you could put together for us of those not tied in,
And
These are.
Because I don't want to publish
Go-
names.
one more,
go to the Board of Health with, and talk to
I
Bob.
don't want to publish names, but I'll talk to Bob generally speaking.
I know, but he's gonna
because
need the
I don't
names.
see
on where to go.
Oak Street Terrace on this list.
Huh?
I don't see Oak Street Terrace
It's
on
not
this
on this
list.
because they were never compelled to tie in. You asked me why I couldn't tell you.
Who was not compiled to tie in?
Oh, Oaks, I'm sorry, I saw Oakdale, I'm sorry, Oakdale Terrace. Oaks,
Oh, not Oakdale Terrace, I know they weren't
they were
compiled, yeah.
compelled. So Oak Terrace,
Oak Street.
Oak Street's, if there's,
I'm just trying to think of who this selectman is that hasn't tied in.
it's Scasiotti, I don't think he lives in Oak Street.
Oh, Tony. Oh, Tony.
And I didn't want to bang him, so just, if you could mention it to him.
So-
That in first.
One last thing before
Wasn't,
we
did we,
adjourn.
should have clarified that, but.
Yes, Sandy,
We're the
go
first
ahead.
ones to tie in.
Who approves the expenditures? We get a report every single week. Who approves those expenditures before they're released?
Jimmy does, don't you, Jimmy? Yeah, Jimmy does.
And if Jimmy's not here?
I think
Is
anybody,
designated.
Well, then
Well-
I would like to
Whoever
add
can
to
get there,
discussion
right?
a process that says it is in this, the chair, the vice chair, and the clerk in that order are called upon to approve the weekly expenditures. So it's actually written down, not the person, but the position they represent.
and if they're not, and if them three are not available, bills don't get signed? How
I
about
would
the others after that?
I,
So every board member in
Yeah.
that order of what you said.
Could very well be, but I'd like to make it a discussion on the next agenda, because it can't be discussed tonight.
There
I'm
was
tired
a,
enough and I want to go home.
there was a paper brought forward that the board had
And you
agreed
missed
to.
kickoff already.
That was done-
anybody
that
back
was-
in the
yeah,
day.
That was-
And it hasn't been updated,
So
so.
it hasn't been, and
But
it
it's-
So that would be
it's time to-
enforced.
to be
No, I
up.
get it, but
Yeah.
that's enforced until you
just
update it.
need to be updated, which is fine.
So as of this moment, we call anybody.
Yeah.
And we use a suggestion as a courtesy
Stick it.
until you actually reword it,
Well, when you stick it
that's
on the-
already in place.
Guy, just stick it on the agenda for the next meeting.
I'll do it.
And one final thing, in talking to Mr. Bowen about the policy,
Yeah.
he's willing to sit with us about the sump pump policy, because that's gonna be our biggest controversy.
I showed him what we have,
So
we
he's,
made a couple of adjustments to it.
okay, good, because he
You got
said
more
he would sit with
adjustments?
us.
Huh?
For the initial letter, you mean, or what?
Yeah, I had
Yes.
2 adjustments to it.
Yes.
Okay,
That's all.
you gotta-
Minor. I mean,
Can we-
I'm
I've,
gonna
can-
send
Sandy,
them
I've
out.
got all your adjustments.
Can we ask him to attend?
Okay,
But Jimmy's working on some more.
I'm surprised you could read my handwriting.
I got it in there. I marked it up
I'm
today,
gonna
but I
send-
didn't
What I'll
rewrite
do
it.
is I'll take the copy of the letter and send it out to everybody again, make the adjustments on it, so we'll see what the adjustments are. The only 2 minor.
I will go to the accounting department on Monday for the right wording for the funding source. I will then bring the adjustments to be printed, typed in the office, hopefully Monday afternoon, and then I will sign these documents to be submitted to Town Hall.
Don't forget to bring bribes if you're going into the town hall. They only accept bribes to get things done.
Who's coming to the meeting on the 11th?
I am.
September 11th? What, selectmen's meeting?
No,
Who's Susan
Yeah.
Sweeney?
She
The
used-
ZBA.
She used to be,
She used to be
she
clerk.
used to be,
Did she use old forms?
yeah, she did.
Yeah, we have no, so please, to make the adjustment,
Yes, that, so she's.
She just went to the template, pulled it down, did read it, did adjust it.
Ex-member.
So we approved Cert Pro, we approved Beta, we approved Mass State, didn't we approve another one?
And do I
No, one
have
of them we tabled.
Donna?
We held,
What?
We held
I make a
them.
motion that-
We have MS.
We adjourn?
I have a second.
second.
what time?
8:25.
Football game's on already.
Exactly.
And our dinner place is probably closed.
So,
Wendy's is open later than this.
When's your dinner
I'll
place?
get this for
Well,
you.
we were going to pick up